Chapter 1633. Tang Guan knew that Di Qinming had bought a new hand, but she didn't care about it. The current Di Qinming was no longer a threat. Didn't he think that the Rubik's Cube world wasn't good? Why did he place his hopes on her shop in the city of trade after losing his hand? He thought that the Rubik's Cube world wasn't good because he couldn't make use of it or control it. Because there were too many powerful people here. For a person who was used to controlling everything, it must be torturous for him to suddenly lose control of his fate like a piece of duckweed floating in the sea. Di Qinming's torturous days had just begun. He still had a long life ahead of him. Pain would accompany him every day. It would be worse than killing him. Especially since Yingxue would become more outstanding in the future, and Di Qinming would become more and more perverted. One day, the two of them would fall out. When the system heard Tang Guan's speculation, it couldn't help but say, "Dear host, you are really heartless. Yingxue is a kind-hearted and righteous lady." What do you mean by that? Nothing. It just felt that Di Qinming wasn't good enough for her. Regardless of whether he's good enough or not, Yingxue won't leave Di Qinming at this moment. She still has deep feelings for Di Qinming. But no matter how deep the feelings are, they can't withstand the erosion of time. Especially when one party is giving and accepting, while the other party is working hard. What Di Qinming is using now is what he used to give to Yingxue. Did the host mean that one day, Yingxue would leave Di Qinming? How would I know? System, you don't know what you're talking about. Look at you. Isn't that what you think? Annoying. No matter how much Di Qinming and Yingxue quarreled, Yin Xiaofei and Zhang Li held a grand wedding in the city of trade. Zhang Li's identity naturally wasn't known by outsiders. But those who participated in the wedding knew that this group of people wasn't simple. They all sent their blessings. On the day of the wedding, Di Qinming's face was gloomy. Even though he used to have a good relationship with Yinrui, he didn't want to send his blessings now. Yinrui looked at him and didn't say anything. Di Qinming's previous behavior had indeed disappointed him. He was very happy that Di Qinming was still alive. Just like Yingxue, he understood Di Qinming very well. No matter what he said now, it would be wrong and would only deepen the conflict. Yinrui didn't say anything to Zhai Qinming, but Zhai Qinming held a wine glass and walked over to Yinrui. Seeing his actions, Yinrui was still a little happy. He quickly clinked glasses with Di Qinming. Unexpectedly, Zhai Qinming opened his mouth and said, "Let's end our brotherhood today." The wine cup in Yinrui's hand trembled. After all, today was his sister's big day. He tried hard to maintain the smile on his face. "Qinming, what nonsense are you talking about?" Although Di Qinming had done something wrong, the brotherhood between them was real. He also hoped that Di Qinming could think things through and get better in the future. People who walk different paths cannot make plans together. You have already chosen to stay here and give up everything outside to help the people here. What else is there to say between us? Yinrui smiled bitterly. "Qinming, those things in the outside world are just worldly possessions." Chapter 1634. Xiaofei has found her happiness and this place is good. For us siblings, there's no difference. Even if you want to go out, you don't have to break our relationship. Di Qinming's lips curved up in a cold smile. No, you chose to stand on their side. From now on, you have nothing to do with me. Maybe one day, we will become enemies. Yinrui, I won't be merciful to you at that time. With that, he drank the wine in one gulp and turned to leave. Yingxue quickly apologized to Yinrui and gave Yin Xiaofei a gift before chasing after him. I don't understand. How did Brother Qinming become like that? Yin Xiaofei asked Zhang Lo in a low voice. It was impossible that she didn't know about this. Zhang comforted her. People change every day. When they experience different things, they might change because of something. Since he took the initiative to abandon your friendship, forget it. He's a bit extreme. Don't interact with him in the future. If it weren't for Tanguo having her own plans, they would have already torn Di Chenming's body to shreds and burned his bones to ashes. Di Chenming almost killed Xia Yun, the city lord of the fantasy Jing city. Yi Yingxue and the others also knew this. Thus, they were very glad that Di Chenming was able to survive. Then forget it. Yin Xiaofei was wearing a beautiful bridal dress. Zhang Li held her hand. Her gaze was fixed on Yi Yingxue's back until she disappeared. Then Yingxue has suffered. Xiaofei, this is her choice. Given the entanglement between her and Di Chenming, she won't leave Di Chenming at this time. She is a loyal person. Alright, today is our wedding day. Don't think about other things. We still have many things to do. Yin Xiaofei reacted and her face flushed red. A few days after Zhang Lu and Yin Xiaofei's wedding, the day of the Rubik's Cube's rotation came again. Yin Xiaofei and Yin Rui were now official residents of the City of Exchange. They didn't have to go through the rotation like the others. Tanguo wasn't in the mood to play anymore. Therefore, this time, only Yi Yingxue and Di Chenming were left to continue the trial. Compared to when he was filled with hope and curiosity, the two of them stood in the square. They were no longer holding hands, as if there was something separating them. When the sky turned dark, Yi Yingxue still grabbed Di Chenming's arm. "Ah Ming, trust me, I will take you out. When we get out, we'll get married, okay?" Di Chenming did not respond. He only laughed sarcastically. The sky lit up again, and there were many more people in the square. They came from other cities. Some people were at a loss, while others rushed into the shop excitedly. This time, Fairy Piao Miao and Wanderer Silver Ring did not follow the rotation. They had countless magic cube coins in their hands and could live in the trading city for a long time. They were also friends in Tanguo's WeChat group. With her permission, they were given a place to stay. Although they didn't give Zhang Lu a real estate certificate, it was almost the same. As long as they wanted to live here, they could live here. It's better to be with the campus belle. Wanderer Inhuan happily took a sip of wine. "School beauty, when are you and your husband going to have your wedding?" "In a few days, soon," Tanguo replied. Fairy Piao Miao also smiled. "School beauty, how long do you plan to stay this time?" Chapter 1635. Tanguo was silent for a moment before saying, "There are still 20 years. A long time ago, when the original owner died, her lifespan was automatically extended by 20 years. If one's lifespan was long enough, it might not be extended. When one's lifespan was up, there would be an extra 20 years. Silver Ring and Piao Miao Fairy looked at each other. "Only 20 years. Why don't you stay longer? If you leave, I think that kid Gong Wei will definitely die of thirst." "Yeah, that kid is not bad. He's a very good young man. I think you dote on him quite a bit." "System, dote on him. Alright, dote on him. He won't." A smile appeared on Tanguo's face. "He said that he wants to sign a life and death contract with me. If I die, he will disappear." The two who were still worried instantly fell silent. The two of them looked at each other and almost cursed. Oh, were they being fed dog food again? "School beauty, do you know his true identity?" Piao Miao Fairy had already felt that Tanguo would always meet someone she liked in so many worlds. Most of the time, she would be willing to spend the rest of her life with this person. It was definitely not a coincidence. Through various analyses, she came to a conclusion that this guy who appeared every time should be the same person. However, the other party had no memories. Being able to be with the school beauty depended on the first impression the two of them had when they met and whether they had any grudges. I don't know. Tangua answered truthfully, that's not important. Before he remembers everything, I don't care. Who do I think he is? If he's obedient, then he's good. So, was this another round of dog food? The two of them didn't want to talk and sent Tangua's words to the group. This bowl of dog food couldn't be eaten by the two of them. If they wanted to eat it, they had to eat it together. Tangua also let them be. This was her rare long-lasting friend after traveling through time and space for thousands of years. Moreover, they got along very well. Not only did they get along well, but everyone's roles were cannon fodder, which made her feel very close. Margaret, I have a feeling that the school beauty might return to our magic world in a long time. I'm looking forward to it. Harold, same here. Alan, I'm really looking forward to it. Even if we really become cannon fodder, it'll be worth it as long as we can see the campus bell. Emmanuel, so, I can look forward to it. Our star world is not bad. Billy has been sent to kill the galactic pirates again. If he knows about this, he will be happy. Margaret, I hope that a genius will appear in our world soon, the kind that has a grudge against us. Maybe the school bell will become cannon fodder for him. Tangua, is that even possible? System, I've been led astray by my great host. Birds of a feather flock together. If you're free, go to the lottery box and try your luck. Tangua stood up. When she was about to leave, she said to the two of them, maybe there will be a surprise. The two of them watched as Tangua left and looked at each other. Surprise? Could it be that the school bell wanted to open a back door for them? With her personality, it was really possible. She didn't care about rules and regulations. Now that the whole trading city was hers, there was nothing wrong with opening a back door. The two of them were already a little impatient. They chose a time when there were the least people and sneaked to the lottery box. Chapter 1636. Piao Fairy and Wanderer Silver Ring liked to draw again and again. Therefore, they first put in 1,000 Rubik's Cube coins to test the waters. In order not to be seen by others, they simply set up an array formation around them so that others could not see their movements. Otherwise, when they really pulled out the key, it would cause too much of a sensation. After all, they were relatively low-key people. If their thoughts were known by the people of the Rubik's Cube world, they would definitely laugh at them. The big shots of the cultivation world said that they were very low-key people. To be honest, they did not see that these two were low-key people. As long as they stayed in the Rubik's Cube world for a while, who wouldn't know their names? Tangua knew that these two people must be eager to go. Host, are you going to help them cheat? The system asked secretly. Tangua pursed her lips. What do you mean by cheating? This place is all mine. I just like them and give them 2 keys. Is there a problem? There was nothing wrong with it. The host was right. If you have a good relationship, you can give them keys and property books as you wish. Wanderer Silver Ring and Wanderer Silver Ring held their breaths. When the lottery box shook, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. When a plate made of ancient bronze appeared in front of them, they were stunned. Key? Regardless of whether it was a key or not, they hurriedly put it away. Their little hearts were still beating wildly. The two of them hurriedly went back and found Tangua. After confirming that the bronze plate was the key, they had mixed feelings for a moment. They were not as eager to go out as they were at the beginning. Let's stay for another 20 years. 20 years more or 20 years less wouldn't change anything. They knew very well that. 5 days later, Tangua and Gong Wei got married. The trading city was unprecedentedly lively. On that day, the outsiders of the Rubik's Cube world all found that they had 10,000 more Rubik's Cube coins. Those who understood something. They couldn't help but look at Tanghua and Gong Wei with reverence. Those who didn't understand were trembling with fear as they held the 10,000 Rubik's Cube coins. At the wedding, many people sent precious gifts and sincerely wished them well. Tanghua was wearing a bridal gown, and the Gong Wei was holding her hand. Gong Wei held her hand and felt that this was the most at ease in his life. Holding her hand was like holding the whole world. Jun Ming arrived late. He was also holding an ancient box. He walked in front of Tanghua and Gong Wei. "There's nothing to say. This is my gift to you. Open it and see if you like it." Hearing this, Tanghua and Gong Wei stepped forward at the same time and put their hands on the box. The two of them looked at each other. Finally, Gong Wei said, "Let me do it." Tanghua released her hand and Gong Wei slowly opened the box. Everyone craned their necks curiously, wanting to see what gift this strange man had given her. To everyone's surprise, just as the box was about to be opened, Tanghua suddenly exerted force and turned the box in another direction. A dagger flew out of the box and stabbed towards Jun Ming's position. Jun Ming was no longer in his original position. It turned out that he was holding another dagger, stabbing towards Tanghua. Gong Wei subconsciously reacted and hugged Tanghua in his arms. "Are you stupid?" Hearing Tanghua's words, Gong Wei was stunned. "You're really stupid. You carried me and flew up. Why did you use your back to block the knife?" Gong Wei. He didn't have time to think so much. Perhaps he had watched too many TV dramas recently. Chapter 1637. He turned around and saw that Tanghua had used two slender fingers to grab the dagger that was about to pierce his back. Jun Ming did not expect that the two of them had already predicted this. He let go of the dagger and planned to retreat. Tanghua said with a smile, "Jun Ming, since you've come to my place, you don't have to leave." "When did you find out?" Jun Ming felt a powerful suppression. If it was only the city lord's power, he had nothing to fear. But if it was the power of 5 city lords, plus 2 other cultivators, as well as a mysterious spiritual pressure, how could he escape? Tanghua played with the dagger in her hand and pushed Gong Wei away. She even glanced at him. "Next time you encounter something like this, Ah Wei, you can carry me and fly up. Left, right, front. I don't know who you learned this from, holding me and not moving. Are you waiting for others to stab you?" Gong Wei. Wasn't it because she had let him watch too many lousy dramas, and they were so romantic? He really didn't think that much. Actually, he was already prepared. Even if it pierced his back, nothing would happen. He was not an idiot. But she was right. It was his fault. "Xiaogua, I was wrong." "Alright, it's good that you know you're wrong." Tanghua pushed Gong Wei away and walked in front of Jun Ming. "Do you have anything to say?" Jun Ming's face was cold, but his eyes were still filled with love for her. "Although I wanted to kill you just now, I really like you. I know that even if I kill you, you won't die. Am I right?" "System, is this the legendary delicate illness?" He suspected that the host would give him a big slap. "Looks like you have nothing to say. Then accept your punishment." Jun Ming sighed. "Don't you want to know who I am, who you are, and who he is?" "I want to know." Tanghua said with a smile, "But I don't want to know from your mouth." Then, she raised her hand and slapped Jun Ming's face. "I really hate it. In the name of love, you stab me in the heart. You're hoping that I won't find out who you are. So what if they find out?" Jun Ming didn't seem to be afraid of death. Tanghua's smile remained unchanged. "I'll kill you." I won't tolerate those who want my life. This time, Junming's expression was serious. Listen. I'm not listening. Tang Gui didn't want to waste any more time with this inexplicable person who thought he knew everything. He would know what he needed to know one day. She hated this person more than the truth. Everyone, let's begin. Junming hadn't expected that Tang Guo would make a move just like that. When she said to make a move, she meant to strip him of his strength and life. He only had less than 10 years left. These 10 years were enough for the Magic Cube world to nurture a new city lord of the Death City. In the end, Junming was imprisoned in the City of Trade, unable to escape. Alright, the obstacles have been cleared. The wedding will continue. A smile appeared on Tang Guo's red lips. At the same time, I'd like to announce a piece of good news. In order to celebrate my marriage with Ah Wei, I've decided to increase the chances of drawing a key from the lottery box. However, there's an additional condition. Those who choose to leave will forever be deprived of the right to enter again. She looked at Xia Yun and the rest. You guys don't have any objections, right? The few of them looked at each other and shook their heads. What objections did they have? They didn't have any objections at all. Hadn't she already decided? However, this was also good. Spreading the news of the Magic Cube world and attracting more people would be beneficial to the Magic Cube world. That additional condition really couldn't be any better. Chapter 1638. At the wedding, Tang Guo announced in public that the lottery box would increase the chances of drawing the key. The onlookers were also slightly stunned. When they reacted, they were all excited. In fact, many people felt that Tang Guo and Gong Wei's identities were not ordinary. Otherwise, when the two of them got married, how could there be an extra 10,000 Rubik's Cube coins in their cards in the Rubik's Cube storage space? Now, they heard her announce that the lottery box would increase the chances of drawing the key. At the same time, there was an additional rule that if they went out, they would not have a chance to come in again. No matter what, this was a piece of news worth being happy about. Naturally, Tang Guo's identity was known. In fact, whether they knew or not, it did not have much impact on the city lord of the Rubik's Cube world. That special dagger was just an accident. She still had 20 years to study the defenses of the Rubik's Cube world with Xia Yun and the others. The people in the entire trading city were in an uproar. After the wedding, Tang Guo and Gong Wei lived a shameless life. Every day, hand in hand, they wandered around the trading city. Everyone recognized them and greeted them with a happy smile on their faces. When someone pulled out the key from the lottery box, everyone looked at Tang Guo with gratitude. In fact, most people understood that they did not hate the Rubik's Cube world, but regretted that they could not take the treasures they had obtained out. Now that Tang Guo had given them a chance, they were naturally grateful. There were countless dangers here, but if they could survive, they would get unimaginable treasures. In the Rubik's Cube world, the effort was proportional to the gain. Especially for many people who were missing arms, legs, and disfigured, the existence of the Rubik's Cube world had changed their fate. They were grateful and in awe of this place. The person who pulled out the key finally chose to go out. Actually, this place is very good. I'm already used to life here. As long as I don't court death, it's not a problem to survive. However, I'm here to get the magical medicine to save my daughter. This was a middle-aged man. She fell from more than 10 floors and was lucky to survive, but she was judged to be in a vegetative state. There was no need to say the rest. Everyone understood. The man opened the door with the key and instantly disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. If there was a first, there would be a second. Many people had drawn tens of thousands of times at the lottery box, and there were also many people who had drawn the key. Everyone believed him. Now, it wasn't that difficult to leave. Among them, half chose to leave, while the other half chose to stay. Actually, this is not bad. Xia Yun rested his chin on his hand. As he looked at the people in the entire city of trade, he seemed to smile a bit more. The rules you laid down won't have any effect on our magic cube world. Instead, it will attract many people to come here and explore. The reason why the magic cube world was able to operate was because countless people were willing to enter. The people here seem to be happier than the people in Happiness City. Gu Lin's face was still pale. This was because he often hid under the happiness tree, sleeping soundly and not being able to see the sun all year round. Basically, every 6 months, Tang Guo would see Yi Yingxue and Di Qinming appear in the trading city. Yi Yingxue would greet her, and Tang Guo would casually ask, "How are you?" Chapter 1639. It's all right. After knowing that the lottery rate had increased, Yi Yingxue was even more motivated. Oh, that's good. Tang Guo smiled and held Gong Wei's hand. Keep an eye on Di Qinming. The rules of the Rubik's Cube world have changed. If he does anything that harms the Rubik's Cube world, he will be targeted by the power here. System, he felt that the host had purposely created this rule to torture Di Qinming. Yi Yingxue replied. I will take him away as soon as possible. I won't cause any more trouble here. Tang Guo turned around and smiled. Actually, I hope that you can stay. Di Qinming is not suitable here. You are quite suitable. Actually, I quite like this place too. Yi Yingxue smiled. But I have to take Ming away from here. Then I wish you success. After Tang Guo left, Yi Yingxue's smile disappeared. She wanted to take Ming away, but Ming might not think the same way. The current Ming was different from before. There was no gentleness in his eyes when he looked at her. But she would definitely do what she promised. On the day of their wedding, Tang Guo and Gong Wei were bound to a life and death contract. On this day, Gong Wei returned to Sin City for some matters. It would have taken him 3 to 5 days, but he returned on the same day. As soon as he stepped into the city of exchange, he saw Tang Guo waiting there. Xiao Guo, were you waiting for me? Gong Wei went forward and hugged her tightly in his arms. He said happily, Xiao Guo, you little liar. Luckily, I was smart enough to sign a life and death contract with you. Otherwise, would you have abandoned me and left me? You brought me into the prosperous world, but now you want to abandon me and send me to a lonely world. How cruel. Tang Guo laughed and patted his face. Wei, if you continue to nag, you will sleep on the floor tonight. Xiao Guo. Gong Wei remembered everything he saw when he returned to Sin City. He whispered in her ear, the new city lord of Sin City is already in the process of being conceived. Is it the same in the city of exchange? Tang Guo nodded. Wei, I am not a liar. Even if you did not sign a life and death contract with me, I will tell you when I will leave. How many years are left? 19 years. It's all right. Gong Wei forced a smile on his serious face. Let's live well in the coming days. Not long after, the other city lords also found out about this. They could only sigh and say nothing else. 10 years later, the new city lord of Death City was born. He was a cold and aloof young man in black. The boy had just been born when Junming died. Before he died, he had a premonition. He originally wanted to see Tang Guo, but he was told, the city lord doesn't want to see you. He even said that if you want to die, then die quickly. If you die with grievances, the city lord will hold a banquet for 3 days to celebrate. These words really made Junming faint from anger. Not long after Junming's death, Yi Yingxue and Di Qinming both drew a key to leave. Yingxua came to bid farewell to Tanggua and asked her to bring Di Qinming out. Tanggua smiled and wished her a safe journey. Ah Ming, let's go out. Yingxua had already dripped a drop of blood on it. The power of the teleportation instantly blessed her. Di Qinming only looked at her gloomily. He lowered his head and looked at the key in his iron claws. He threw it far away. If you want to go out, then go out alone. I will definitely not go out until I destroy the Rubik's Cube world. Yingxua didn't expect the result to be like this. Under her incredulous gaze, she was teleported out. Di Qinming laughed. Go out for what? He had lost both his hands. Wouldn't he be laughed at if he went out? Unless, he could only go out after he regained his hands. It was easy to draw the key now. He could afford to wait. But before he could finish rejoicing, a dignified voice came from the sky. Di Qinming abandoned the key to open the Rubik's Cube world and did something that insulted the Rubik's Cube world. The city lord announces that Di Qinming will be deprived of the chance to obtain the key forever. In an instant, Di Qinming's face turned pale. How could it be? Gong Wei was in the house, wrapping his arms around Tanggua's waist. Xiaogua, you are too naughty. It's him who doesn't cherish the opportunity. He looks like he doesn't like it but wants it. How annoying. Piao Miao Fairy and Wanderer Yin Huan heard the commotion and laughed happily. Chapter 1640. When Tanggua and Gong Wei disappeared from the Rubik's Cube world at the same time, Di Qinming was targeted by the new rules of the Rubik's Cube world. It was different from what he thought. He thought that even if he couldn't get out, at least he wouldn't do too badly. He underestimated the power of the Rubik's Cube world. In the end, countless latecomers surpassed him. Di Qinming would forever stay in the Rubik's Cube world, surpassed by countless people, and live in pain forever. Not long after Tanggua left, Silver Ring and Fairy Piao Miao opened the door to the Rubik's Cube world and left. When Tanggua opened her eyes and appeared in the new world, she was lying on a single bed. She looked around. This looked like a 4-person dormitory for university students. Below was a desk, and above was a bed. At this moment, her roommates weren't here. She first opened the group to ask how Fairy Piao Miao and Silver Ring were doing. Coincidentally, these two were also here. However, she didn't know how much time had passed in between. Fairy Piao Miao, I've been back in the sect for almost 10 years. It's just as I thought. Nothing has changed in more than 1,000 years. Not to mention the sect, there aren't many cultivators left. The spiritual energy here is almost gone. I was planning to open a passage to other cultivation worlds after a while. Silver Ring, if possible, come to my place. Junior sister has already found someone else and is doing very well now. Thus, I don't plan to disturb her to avoid trouble. Sister Piao Miao, come over. At least we can go to the celestial world together. She could tell that Silver Ring was just sighing and didn't have much regret. After so long, even if he liked junior sister very much, after not seeing her for so many years, what was left was actually just responsibility. Fairy Piao Miao, okay, I'll think of a way to see if I can come over. But we have to wait for a while. When the time comes, I'll bring someone over. Tanggua couldn't help but ask, Piao Miao, did you take in a disciple in that place? Fairy Piao Miao, yes, I took in a disciple. He's a good seedling. He saw through relationships and wholeheartedly pursued the immortal Tao. His future achievements will definitely not be low. As long as there is enough spiritual energy, ascending to the celestial world is just around the corner. Yin Huan, that's good. It's rare for you to admire someone so much. This is the second time I've heard you praise someone like that. Following which, the people in the group saw Piao Miao Fairy send a series of happy emojis. In the end, she even sent a picture with the caption, "This is my new disciple." When Tang Gua and Wanderer Inhuan saw the woman's face, they were both stunned. Because the beautiful woman cooking in the kitchen was Yi Yingxue. Inhuan Sanren, so it's that girl. You got what you wanted. Tang Gua, I didn't expect that. Tang Gua said goodbye to the others and left the group. While no one was around, she began to receive the storyline of this world. In this world, she didn't have any grudges with the male and female leads. They only had some interactions, but they weren't familiar with each other. The female lead was her roommate. Her name was Leng Ruofei. Just like her surname, she was a very cold person. Basically, she was the kind of person who didn't care about anything and only had her own world in her eyes. No one could enter her circle. As for her character, if she had to be given a title, she could be called Miss Hao Hao. Why Miss Hao Hao? Because no matter who asked her for help, she would agree. Chapter 1641. Even if she was busy and inconvenient at the time, she couldn't reject other people's requests. She had been like this since she started school. This personality was because she grew up in a family where she didn't have a sense of existence. Her family valued boys over girls. Her parents seemed to treat her well, but in reality, they didn't value her at all. Before she went to university, she was a day student. She had to wake up in the morning to cook breakfast for the family. She would be happy for half a day if she received a compliment. After school, she had to cook dinner for the family again. If she was a little late, her parents would scold her. If it was an ordinary girl, she would definitely talk back to her parents on the spot. However, she grew up under the education of her parents. Since she was young, she thought that she was born to owe her parents. Doing these small things was what she should do. Because she came home late and didn't have time to open on time, she was scolded. She wouldn't blame her parents. Instead, she would think that she was wrong. She didn't know how to speak and only knew how to work hard. In her world, there was a truth. There were no parents in the world. What her parents did and said was always right. Ever since her younger brother, Tang Xiaoquan, was born, her parents' attention was on him. Her parents always told her that her younger brother was young, so she should give in and treat him well for the rest of her life. This was what an older sister should do. She believed it. She thought that if she was liked by her parents, they would care more about her. This kind of character had led her through her entire life. At first, when her classmates asked her for help, they would say please. After helping, they would say thank you. Once or twice, everyone was very polite. However, when it happened many times, everyone got used to it and thought that it was her duty to do these things. If there was a day when she didn't do it, it was her fault. For example, when she was in primary school, she wiped the blackboard for 6 years. She would arrange for the students on duty every day. Ever since everyone got used to asking her for help, it seemed like it was her business. Sometimes, when the blackboard wasn't wiped in time, the teacher would directly blame her and not the student on duty. During exams, people would often ask her to pass a small note. If she did badly, she couldn't avoid a scolding. She felt quite guilty and had to use her little pocket money to buy snacks to apologize to her classmates. When she was in high school, she was nervous about her studies. Her classmates asked her to borrow her notes. As she borrowed them, the notes became theirs. She was embarrassed to ask them back and could only say that she wanted to make a copy. She had been trying her best to treat everyone well, but in the end, no one remembered her kindness. When he needed her, he would call her affectionately. When he didn't need her, he would ignore her. Now it was the second semester of university. The original owner's character had been discovered by the people in the dormitory and class. Last semester, the original owner brought back a lot of free food for these people. It was one thing for him to bring it, but he didn't even give her money. The host was too embarrassed to ask for it. 10 or 20 pieces at a time wasn't much. But if he wore it for 1 or 2 days, or even every day, who could bear it? What was even weirder was that if she didn't help him, she would feel guilty. Tanguo roughly skimmed through the life of the original owner, and did not intend to slowly savor the story of the steamed bun. She could already hear someone knocking on the door. Tanguo, open the door. Host, your roommate seems to have forgotten to bring his keys and wants you to open the door. The system gloated. He hadn't seen steamed bun's character in a long time. Chapter 1642. He could already feel his host's restless fists. Tanguo raised her head and glanced at the door. She had no intention of getting off the bed. She took out her earplugs and plugged them into her ears. She plugged the other end into her phone and turned up the volume of the music. Then, she lay down and put down the mosquito net. I didn't hear anything. I'm listening to music. Tanguo's indifferent voice was transmitted to the system. System, host, you're really amazing. Actually, the original owner of this body was also used to her roommates not bringing their keys. Moreover, it wasn't necessarily because they didn't bring their keys. Even if these roommates brought their keys, they would just knock on the door and ask someone to open it. Hu Xiaolan brought her keys. I saw her putting them in her bag during class. Tanguo said to the system. She was just too lazy to take them. Anyway, someone was ordering her around. System, that's too much. Tanguo. Are you there? Open the door. Hu Xiaolan banged on the door loudly and noisily. The people in the room next door couldn't help but come out and ask her to be quieter. Hu Xiaolan's expression was ugly. At this time, Tanguo should be back after lunch. She should be taking her afternoon nap. How could there be no one? She banged on the door again, but the door was still closed. Hu Xiaolan had no choice but to search for the keys in her bag. She was still complaining. It's noon. Where the hell did she go? Why didn't she just stay in her room? When she opened the door and walked into the dormitory angrily, she slammed the door shut with a loud bang. She lay on the bed and suddenly felt that something was wrong. Her bed just happened to face Tanguo. Tanguo's mosquito net didn't block out the light. It was a transparent blue mosquito net. Hu Xiaolan saw Tanguo lying there immediately. She was furious. Tanguo, you're actually in the room. Why didn't you open the door for me? Hu Xiaolan said loudly. Tanguo, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Hu Xiaolan didn't want to let it go. She was already very angry when Tanguo didn't open the door for her. She was even angrier when she was scolded by the people next door. Now that Tanguo was in the dormitory, she was reluctant to come down to open the door for her. She was so angry that she was about to die. She jumped down nimbly and walked to Tanguo's bed. She patted her pillow hard and said, Tanguo. At this moment, Tanguo sensed something and turned to look at Hu Xiaolan. Why aren't you opening the door for me? Hu Xiaolan couldn't hold it in any longer and blurted out a bunch of nonsense. In the end, when she saw Tanguo take off her earplugs, she really fainted from anger. What did you say? Tanguo looked puzzled. Is it hot today? Why was he so angry? Hu Xiaolan, where are the others? Why didn't they come back with you? Hu Xiaolan gritted her teeth. I knocked on the door for so long just now. Why didn't you open the door for me? I didn't hear it. Tanguo waved the earplugs in her hand. The music was a little loud. I fell asleep while listening to it. However, it seems like you came in. The others didn't come back. How did you come in? Tangua sat up and looked at the door. She said suspiciously, "You didn't break the door, did you?" Hu Xiaolan didn't know how to answer. She couldn't possibly say that she had brought the key. "Next time, don't listen to music with your earplugs and play it so loudly." Tangua glanced at her. "Why?" Hu Xiaolan was furious. This blockhead. If the music was too loud, how could he hear her knocking? It's not good for the ears if it's too loud. Hu Xiaolan pouted. She was furious. "I'm doing this for your own good." Chapter 1643. Hu Xiaolan didn't take advantage of her and even suffered a loss. She didn't want to say anything to Tangua anymore. Although she wasn't the kind of person who would fall out with others over a small matter, her tone was still not very nice. When she turned around, she reminded Tangua, "Don't listen to music with your headphones in the future. It's not good for your ears." If the original owner heard that Hu Xiaolan didn't blame her for not opening the door for her and even cared that it wasn't good for her to listen to music with headphones, she would definitely be touched and feel guilty. She might even take out the hard work in the cupboard and share it with Hu Xiaolan. "Okay, I just listened to it for a while. It shouldn't affect me," Tangua said as if she didn't notice Hu Xiaolan's bad tone just now. She also reminded her, "Hu Xiaolan, if you don't have your keys next time and can't open the door, you can ask the dorm manager for a spare key." Hu Xiaolan, did she not have her keys? This Tangua was really annoying. She insisted on listening to music with her headphones and playing it so loudly. "Okay, I know." Hu Xiaolan climbed onto the bed and started playing with her phone. Tangua didn't care. She glanced at the door and turned on her phone to check the time. It was almost 1 o'clock. The others in the dormitory were about to come back. The only people who didn't come back were Gao Lily and Leng Ruofei. Leng Ruofei was cold to everyone. If others didn't cause her trouble, she wouldn't cause trouble for others either. For example, Leng Ruofei would never knock on the door without a key. Gao Lily was different. If Hu Xiaolan had her keys and pretended not to, she would always ask others to open the door for her. Gao Lily was just too lazy to bring her keys. Anyway, the original owner would return to the dormitory before them. She could just wake her up and open the door. Last semester, the original owner opened the door for them every day. If she used the excuse of listening to music to not open the door for Gao Lily, it would be too obvious. So Tangua closed the curtains and got out of bed. She washed her face and put on some skincare products. She put on her shoes and socks and prepared to go out with her bag. "Tangua, are you going to the street?" Outside almost every university, there would be a few food streets. The classes for the first and second years were relatively easy. The schedule was almost full, so there was plenty of time. Hu Xiaolan looked at Tangua and thought that she was going out, so she asked her to bring some food in. "When you come back later, bring me a serving of hot and sour fried potatoes. I want li ji's. It's from the stall opposite the roast duck leg." Hu Xiaolan stuck her head out and said, "Add more millet and vinegar. No onions." Tangua raised her head and a warm smile appeared on her fair face. "I'm not going out." Hu Xiaolan was stunned. "If you're not going out, then where are you going?" "Let's go to the library to look for information." "Then, will you still go out after the investigation?" Hu Xiaolan asked unwillingly. Tangua shook her head. "I'm not going out. I still have a class in the afternoon. After that, I'll go straight to the classroom." She raised the book in her hand and said, "Look, I brought all the books with me so that I don't have to make a trip back. It saves me a lot of time and effort." Seeing that Tangua was telling the truth, Hu Xiaolan's face darkened and she didn't say anything else. Because Tangua's reasons were too good, she still cared about her reputation. She didn't want to say that she was going out to buy hot and sour fried potatoes for her. If other people found out, she wouldn't be in the right. Chapter 1644. Do you have any other questions? Tangua's face was full of concern. Why don't you come with me to the library? It's boring in the dormitory anyway. System, he could guarantee that the host didn't invite Hu Xiaolan to the library out of kindness. Oh, he remembered now. Gao Lily, who never brought her keys, was coming back soon. After bringing Hu Xiaolan to the library, no one opened the door for Gao Lily. As for Lang Ruofei, no one could be sure if she would come back immediately. No, the weather is still a little cold. The library is too cold. I'm not going. You go ahead. Okay, Hu Xiaolan. Are you sure there's no other questions? Tangua asked again. I'll turn off my phone when I get to the library. First, I want to read the information carefully so that my phone won't distract me. Second, I don't want my phone to suddenly ring and cause trouble for others. I'll feel very bad if that happens. It's okay. Just turn off your phone. Hu Xiaolan thought to herself. Who would call Tangua for no reason? There were so many people in the library who didn't turn off their phones. It was really making a mountain out of a molehill. Only people like Tangua would be so stupid to think about others. System, idiot. Of course, the host didn't turn off her phone for anyone else's sake. She wanted you to testify for her as to why she turned off her phone. Second, she was afraid that Gao Lily didn't bring her keys back. If no one answered when she knocked on the door, she would call her directly. Just like that, Tangua opened the dormitory door with a smile and walked towards the library. She didn't want to be friends with people like Hu Xiaolan and Gao Lily. However, she couldn't let others think that she was particularly mean. It was just superficial work. She knew how to move her lips and say a few words that were for their own good. Because of these two roommates, the original owner's university life wasn't good. The two of them let the original owner bring all kinds of snacks for free. In the last year, they went out for an internship, so there was no need to mention it. In the first 3 years, the sum was still a huge sum. For office workers, it wasn't much at all. But for the original owner, who was a student, this money was basically her part-time job on weekends and holidays. As for her parents, they gave her a monthly allowance of 600 yuan. If it was in a small county town, 600 yuan would be enough if they were frugal. After all, the food in the cafeteria was considered cheap. However, the location of this school was in a quasi-first-tier city, and it was in the city center. 600 yuan was just enough to eat. The original owner's parents taught her that college students had to work while studying. If she wanted to buy something, she had to find her own way. Regarding this, the host had no complaints. She believed that her parents were right to cook. Therefore, she really did use her spare time to do part-time jobs. Compared to other students, her hands were still relatively free. If it weren't for the fact that she couldn't refuse, her life would have been perfect. In fact, her family was quite well off. Her parents' combined salary was about 20,000 yuan, close to 30,000 yuan. She had never heard of it. Her parents' combined salary was close to 30,000 yuan, but they only gave their daughter, who was studying in a university in a quasi-first-tier city, 600 yuan a month. Usually, they did not care about her at all. They did not worry about her life or death. They were completely in a free-range state. Only when she was on holiday would her parents call her and ask her to go back early. Why would he go back? First, she had to tutor her younger brother. Secondly, she had to cook for her family. Chapter 1645. Besides these two things, she also had to find a part-time job during the holidays. It could be said that she had almost no time for herself. Fortunately, although there were many bad people in this world, there were still good people. There was a clothing store owner who admired a down-to-earth, hard-working, and honest young lady like her. Hence, every year during the holidays, she would work in this store. While she was thinking, Tangwa had already arrived at the library. She had already switched off her cell phone on the way there. Switching off her cell phone would not affect any social interaction at all. If she switched off her cell phone every day, she would probably be able to avoid more trouble. This was because when her cell phone rang, it was not because someone missed her and wanted to ask her how she was, but because they wanted to ask her for help. Who asked her to be so warm-hearted and would always help them? She even did it perfectly. Speaking of which, it's funny. She has helped countless people, but when she was at her wit's end, none of the numbers in her cell phone actually worked. Because she was too good, so good that she had no ego. It was not desirable to sacrifice oneself for others. Tongzi, not bad. You actually came to such a conclusion. Didn't the great host say that people were especially despicable? No matter what kind of role it was, if it was obtained easily, it would not be valued. Tangwa found a more secluded spot. The weather was still a little cold and in the afternoon, it was the time when she felt sleepy. It was not the end of the semester yet. Other than the students who liked to go outside, there were fewer people in the library. She picked a few books that she was interested in and started to read them silently. Half an hour after Tangguo left the dormitory, the tall and slender Gao Lily had already walked to the door of the dormitory. As usual, she knocked hard on the door. Tangguo, open the door for me. She only knocked twice. Under normal circumstances, Tangguo would open the door for her within a minute. However, after waiting for 2 minutes, Tangguo did not come out. She had no choice but to knock again. There was still no answer. She knocked again, but there was still no answer. Open the door. Gao Lily shouted a few times. In the end, she had no choice but to take out her cell phone. With a face full of anger, she searched for Tangguo's cell phone number and dialed it. Sorry, the number you have dialed is switched off. Gao Lily was a little dumbfounded. She had called Tangguo so many times, but she had never thought that her phone would be turned off. She refused to believe it and called him twice more, but his phone was still turned off. At that time, he was in a bad mood and had no choice but to find the phone numbers of his other 2 roommates. Looking at Leng Ruofei's phone, she shuddered and didn't dare to call her. Even if she did, with Leng Ruofei's character, she probably wouldn't come back to open the door for her. She had no choice but to call Hu Xiaolan. She had just dialed the number when she heard the ringtone coming from the dormitory. Her expression changed again. Hu Xiaolan was in a daze when she heard a call. She quickly picked up the phone. Xiaolan, open the door for me. Lily, you didn't bring your key. No, please open it for me. Hu Xiaolan woke up and was a little impatient. However, she remembered that Gao Lily was closer to her, so she had no choice but to get out of bed and open the door. Gao Lily asked, Where's Tangguo? She's not in the dormitory. Where did she go? Why is her phone turned off? She went to the library. She said that she wanted to look for information. She even told me that she was afraid of disturbing others, so she turned off her phone. Hu Xiaolan's smile was full of sarcasm. Chapter 1646. Gao Lily rubbed her hands and complained, What's wrong with her? I've never seen anyone turn off their phone when they go to the library. There's something wrong with her brain, Hu Xiaolan complained. She had forgotten that Gao Lily did not bring her keys. After all, they were close. Hu Xiaolan would not be annoyed if she opened the door once in a while. Among the 4 people in the dormitory, only Gao Lily and Hu Xiaolan were in the same major. Tang Gua and Leng Ruofei were in different majors. Gao Lily was tall and pretty. She had a boyfriend when she was in her first year of university. Therefore, she would go on a date with her boyfriend during the class before noon and the last class in the afternoon. She would not come back with Hu Xiaolan. Tang Guo read some books in the library and then went to the classroom to attend class. She took her textbook and walked slowly to the classroom. She was not very familiar with her classmates in the university. The only girl she was familiar with was a girl named Hichichi. She would often call her before class and remind her to help her answer the professor's roll call. If they were close, she would help her from time to time. This was normal in university. It was nothing. However, she was not close to Hichichi. Hichichi would only call her intimately and call her when she needed her. Once, she was sick and asked for leave. There were a few important classes that day, and the teacher should have left homework. That night, she planned to ask Hichichi what homework the teacher left for her and if she could have a copy. However, Hichichi said that she did not go to class, so she did not know what the topic was. However, Hichichi handed in the homework later. She asked the class for help, but almost no one helped her. Everyone was not familiar with her. It was fine if the class did not help her and did not see the news. It would not make sense if Hichichi did not help her. Hichichi often missed classes and was not very friendly to others. However, when there was a problem, there would always be someone to help her. Perhaps it was because Hichichi was better at dressing up. The original owner of the body wore simple clothes and almost did not wear makeup, let alone high heels and dresses. With the money she earned from her part-time job, she could actually dress up well. At least she would look more beautiful and fashionable. She already had this plan when she started her first year of university and started working part-time to earn money. During the holidays, she wore a pretty dress, high heels, and light makeup. When she returned home, she was scolded by her mother, Li Meishue. It was nothing more than telling her to study hard and not do such useless things. She was dressed so flirtatiously and even asked if she had a boyfriend in school. He told her that she was not allowed to date for now and that he would introduce her to someone after she graduated. "I'm your mother. I'm saying this for your own good." This was Li Meishue's catchphrase. No matter where she was, she could use it. "You're dressed so flirtatiously. I don't know what other people will say if they see you. I heard that many college students are kept by other people. Xiaogua, you can't learn bad things. If you dare to do such a thing, don't even think about entering this house." The original owner was the kind of person who was more obedient and didn't spend any effort on clothes. A girl who didn't know how to dress up would indeed be easily overlooked. In this world, everyone was obsessed with looks. Hichichi was actually average-looking, but because she had put on makeup and wore nice clothes, people would pay attention to her. Chapter 1647. That mouth of his could speak, and naturally, he could attract many boys to do anything for him. Not to mention copying homework, there were even people who would carry bricks for pretty girls. The original owner was different. Because of her parents' warning, she did not get close to any boys. Coupled with her plain clothes, it was difficult to attract the attention of the boys. As for the girls, they did not like to hang out with such people. After all, they did not have a common language. They would only think of her if they needed her help. Because of this, she was ignored by countless people. When there was someone who needed her, she could not wait to lend a helping hand and would not refuse at all. Over time, everyone got used to it. Today, Tangua came to class and did not turn on her phone. Hichichi, who had planned to skip class, called Tanghua and asked for Tanghua's help when the professor called the roll. Unexpectedly, "Sorry, the number you have dialed is unavailable." Like Gao Lily, Hichichi did not believe it. She called several times, but it did not go through. In the end, she had to give up. After that, she could only call others to ask for their help. But not everyone was like Tanghua and would help without hesitation. In the eyes of the girls, Hichichi was a competitor. She was too popular with the boys, so they were enemies. How could they help her answer the roll? Naturally, Hichichi could only run to the classroom with her books. In the end, she was late. She wanted to ask Tanghua what was going on and why her phone was turned off. However, Tanghua was sitting in the front row. She did not have the courage to sit in the first row. Host, Hichichi fainted from anger. If you choose the first row, she will not dare to sit in it. But after class, she will definitely find you and question you. After class, the corridor was filled with people. She wore such a short skirt and exposed her calves on such a cold day. Even if she wore a warm coat, she would still be shivering from the cold. Plus, she was wearing 12 centimeters high heels. Do you think she could catch up with me? Tanghua's smile was a little mischievous. She glanced at her white shoes and said, "You have to wear flats to squeeze on the stairs." System, host, you look very mischievous when you smile. Sure enough, after class, Tanghua immediately stood up and walked to the professor's side. With a smile on her fair face, she said, "Professor Chin, I still have a question that I don't quite understand. Can I have a few minutes of your time to ask about it?" There was no teacher who didn't like students who were eager to learn. Moreover, this student was very polite. Professor Chin naturally wouldn't reject him. Hichichi wanted to shout, but when she heard Tanghua's voice, her voice got stuck in her throat and she didn't shout again. Professor Chin did not have a good impression of her, so it was better for her not to get close to him. She planned to stop Tanghua at the entrance of the girls' dormitory and ask her why her phone was turned off. Unexpectedly, Tanghua had no intention of returning to the dormitory after asking the question. There were no classes in the afternoon, so she prepared to go to the cafeteria for dinner. It was best to have dinner at 6 o'clock. If it was too late, the food wouldn't be easily digested and would get fat. After leisurely finishing her dinner, she went to the library. Going to class, eating, and going to the library was the life of a university student. If she was lying in the dormitory like a corpse at such a young age, wouldn't she be a useless person? When Tanghua was eating in the cafeteria, Gao Lily and Hu Xiaolan had just finished their classes and returned to the dormitory. They instinctively knocked on the door and shouted, "Tanghua, open the door." Chapter 1648. Of course, Tanghua was not in the dormitory. She didn't come back. Hu Xiaolan frowned. Gao Lily snorted. "I don't think so. Let's try calling her." Of course, her phone was still switched off. Hu Xiaolan was about to take out her keys when her expression changed. "I think I forgot to bring my keys." This time, it was real. She remembered that she had changed her bag when she went to class. She had forgotten to put her keys in that bag. Then what should we do? Gao Lily was a little anxious. "I have to go back to the dormitory to change my clothes. My boyfriend is still waiting for me outside." The weather was still a little cool, and Gao Lily did not want to catch a cold. When she went to class, she wore thicker clothes. But when she went to see her boyfriend, she had to dress up nicely. At least, she could not wear pants. She had to wear a skirt, socks, and high-heeled leather shoes. "Why don't I give Leng Ruofei a call?" Gao Lily hesitated for a moment. "It's already 6 o'clock. She should be back in the dormitory, right? Then you can try calling her. Gao Lily pursed her lips and dialed Leng Ruofei's number. A cold voice came from the other end. What's the matter? I am Gao Lily. Leng Ruofei, when are you coming back? What's the matter? Gao Lily shivered from the cold. It's like this. I didn't bring my keys. There's no one in the dormitory. Leng Ruofei was a little surprised. After all, Tang Guo should be in the dormitory at this time. Even if she was not in the dormitory, these two should have called Tang Guo. Why did they call her cell phone? There's no one. Tang Guo's cell phone is switched off. That's why I called you. Can you come back a little earlier and open the door for us? Gao Lily's voice was almost pleading. Leng Ruofei did not seem to feel it. Her voice was still cold. That's not possible. I have something on today and am not in school. If you don't mind, you can come to my house to get my keys. Gao Lily, then forget it. Gao Lily hung up the phone. Let's go look for Tang Guo. Someone told them that they saw Tang Guo in the cafeteria. They hurriedly went to look for her. Tang Guo was in the cafeteria. When she heard the system's reminder, she quickly wiped the corner of her mouth and turned around to go to the library. When the two of them arrived at the canteen, they naturally couldn't find Tang Guo. Maybe she's in the library, Hu Xiaolan said after looking around. Then let's go to the library. Gao Lily's heart was full of anger. The two of them went to the library again. But she didn't know that Tang Guo had already left. This time, she went shopping outside the school. The snacks outside the school were really delicious. She ate to her heart's content. Finally, she went to the coffee shop and slowly tasted a cup of coffee. There's no one in the library either. Hu Xiaolan frowned. Seriously, how could he turn off his phone? Gao Lily was about to cry. Xiaolan, you're too much. You used to bring your keys every day, but you didn't bring them today. Didn't I forget to release it? But Tang Guo didn't come back today. Her phone is still turned off. In the end, the two of them decided to look for the dorm manager. It wasn't that they didn't want to look for her first, but the dorm manager was very fierce. Anyone who went to look for her would be scolded all the way up. It's time to go back. Tang Guo finished her coffee and walked out of the coffee shop happily. She slowly walked back to the dorm. Just as she reached the school gate, she saw Gao Lily rushing out. When Gao Lily saw her, she was furious. Tang Guo, why is your phone turned off? Oh yes, where did you go? Why didn't you come back to the dorm? I went out to buy some daily necessities. Tang Guo happened to be holding a plastic bag in her hand. I'm a little short of money this month. After looking around for a long time, I finally bought something cheap and practical. Gao Lily, you're in such a hurry. Where are you going? Are you going to see your boyfriend? No wonder your makeup is so exquisite. I'm sure your boyfriend will like it. Gao Lily was speechless. If the other party praised her, it wouldn't be good if she said anything harsh and attracted the attention of the surrounding people. After all, she still cared about her image. Okay, I'm leaving. I can't talk to you anymore. My boyfriend is still waiting. Tang Guo smiled and waved her hand. She carried the plastic bag and walked towards the female dorm. Suddenly, she felt a special gaze on her. She raised her head and saw a very handsome man standing in front of her. The man's gaze fell on the plastic bag in her hand. Chapter 1649. Bailey Ching felt that if he didn't remember wrongly, when he went to one of the supermarkets under his name, he happened to see this girl packing a lot of things into her basket before she paid for them. That was why she told the other girl that she was short on money, so she picked and picked for a long time before she finally bought something cheap and practical. It was really strange. He clearly saw that the girl was holding the shelves of daily necessities. The things on the shelves were all imported, right? Useful, they were definitely useful. His supermarket didn't sell fake goods, especially imported goods. They always checked them strictly. Cheap. Was it cheap? It definitely wasn't cheap. It would be strange if it was cheap. Every item she took out was 2 to 3 times more expensive than ordinary items. Looking at her clothes, she didn't seem like a student with a luxurious lifestyle. Is there a problem? Bailey Ching was still deep in thought. He didn't expect that Tang Gua had already walked up to him. Her fair and clean face had a smile on it. "Big brother, why are you staring at my plastic bag?" The sweet voice woke Bailey Ching up from his thoughts. He frowned slightly. That's right, why was he staring at the little girl's plastic bag? "Big brother, are you interested in the brand I bought and want to buy it for your girlfriend?" Tang Guo opened the plastic bag and pointed the opening of the bag at Bailey Ching. "Or is it because these things are more private and you're too embarrassed to buy them at the supermarket?" Bailey Ching couldn't help but glance at the plastic bag and then quickly look away. The daily necessities she bought were indeed more private. There were 3 or 4 packs of sanitary napkins and 2 packs of sanitary pants. Perhaps because he was too close, he even saw that the packaging of the sanitary pants said that it was a 2-piece package. Lastly, there was also lingerie, soap and so on. Therefore, he glanced at it and quickly moved away. "Big brother, actually, if you go to the supermarket and buy these things, no one will care about what you buy. If you really have a good relationship with your girlfriend, you should go and buy them. Face isn't important at all." Bailey Ching subconsciously said, "No, I don't have a girlfriend." How could he have a girlfriend? He wasn't interested in that kind of troublesome creature at all. He planned to spend the rest of his life alone. "Oh, then why are you staring at my plastic bag?" Facing the girl's pursuit, Bailey Ching felt embarrassed for the first time. Why was he staring at the girl's plastic bag? Most importantly, she bought something so private. Most people would think that he was a pervert. "You're not a pervert, right?" Tang Gua asked. System, oh no, I'm dying of laughter. Host, you're really too naughty. You bully me every time. Now, he didn't need to ask. The only person who could be bullied like this by Madam Host was his cutie. Otherwise, with her temperament, it was impossible for her to speak so much to a stranger. Bai Li Ching denied, "Classmate, you're mistaken. I'm not a pervert." "Use a perverts cessed Bai Li Ching." Ts facing Tang Gua's suspicious gaze, Bai Li Ching didn't know what to say. T of say ts dang Tang's s. Chapter 1650. Big brother, can you please explain why you're staring at my plastic bag? Tang Guo looked like she was going to tell everyone that he was a pervert if he didn't explain. This made Bai Li Ching speechless. According to his personality, he should have turned around and left when faced with such a troublesome creature. But not only did he not leave, he was still thinking about how to prove that he wasn't a pervert. When did he become someone who cared about other people's opinions? He couldn't just say that he saw her trying to pack up all these expensive and useful daily necessities in the supermarket, and then he heard her telling her classmates that she had chosen cheap and useful daily necessities, so he was curious about it, right? At that time, she would probably say that he was not only a pervert, but also a stalker. That would be even more difficult to explain. Suddenly, Bai Li Ching had a flash of inspiration, and his expression became relaxed. This time, he even openly looked at Tang Gua's plastic bag. Classmate, I was indeed looking at your plastic bag just now. Are you going to admit that you're a pervert? Tangua asked, Big brother, actually you're not bad looking, but why do you have such heavy tastes? If you get rid of these bad habits, your life will definitely become very beautiful. System, ha 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 ha, still teasing people. Bai Liqing didn't panic at all, and a faint smile hung on his face. Classmate, to be honest, I'm just curious why you chose these few brands, because these are new brands that our supermarket just introduced from abroad. Under the current situation, there aren't many people buying them. So, after looking at them for so long, I really want to investigate why you chose these few brands. Actually, there are many brands in the country that are more suitable for students like you, and they're also more comfortable to use. System, host, look, he's seriously investigating with you how it feels to use these brands. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding just now. I wonder if you're free right now. Can we go to the water bar and talk? I need an experience report, and after we talk, there will be a lot of free gifts, at most half an hour. Is it convenient? It's convenient. Tangua changed her mind about going directly to the dormitory, and directly agreed, and then asked, Are the free gifts from the same brand? Yes. The corners of Bai Liqing's lips twitched. She really had a soft spot for these brands. Next, the two of them chose a nearby bar. Student, tell me what you think. It had to be said that Bai Liqing looked very professional. He even took out a small notebook and pen, planning to write it down. Since he was so professional, Tangua had to be more professional as well. Tongzi, I've never used these brands before. Hurry up and scan them for me. How many people in the world are using them? What's the feeling of using them? With a smile on her face, Tangua slowly took out a pack of sanitary pads. The system scan was very fast. Soon, it summarized the reputation of these few brands on the internet, as well as the feelings of countless people after using them, and sent it to Tangua's mind. Therefore, when Bai Liqing heard Tangua talking about the benefits of this brand in a serious and clear manner, his expression became very serious. It seemed that this student was really a loyal user of these brands. Chapter 1651. Half an hour later, Bai Liqing brought Tangua to the supermarket with a satisfied look on his face. He gave her a bunch of gifts, all of which were daily necessities from the same brands. He even gave her some new products from other brands, hoping that she could tell him how she felt after using them. Naturally, the two of them exchanged contact numbers. In the end, she didn't know what Bai Liqing's purpose was, or maybe he was a gentleman. Seeing that the sky was almost dark, he sent Tangua to the school gate. Tangua walked back to the dormitory with two big plastic bags in her hands. Dear host, your cutie has a lot of supermarkets under his name. You seem to have a good chat today. Would he be unhappy? The information you gave me is equivalent to doing a global big data analysis for these few brands that are unfamiliar to the Chinese. As a businessman, how could he not be satisfied with this? I reckon that when he goes back, he will write a proposal to develop these few brands. Who knows, in the future, he might even be able to cooperate with these few foreign brands and become the best agent or something. Tangua pursed her lips. You only gave me a few gifts. How stingy. Well, dear host, we are going to be family in the future. Why do you have to be so calculative? We are family. There is no need to draw such a clear line. It is not good for the relationship. When Tangua returned to the dormitory, Hu Xiaolan was the only one there. This afternoon, because Hu Xiaolan didn't bring her keys, she and Gao Lily searched for Tangua in a big circle, but couldn't find her. In the end, they had no choice but to ask the dormitory manager for the spare keys. The dormitory manager took the keys and scolded from the first floor to the 7th floor. Not to mention the entire female dormitory building, even the other students in the dormitory probably knew that they did not bring their keys and were scolded by that old witch. Seeing that Tanguo had returned, Hu Xiaolan could not help but ask, "Tanguo, where did you go this afternoon? Why didn't I see you? I couldn't even get through to your phone. Lily and I went to the cafeteria and the library to look for you. You were not in the library, so you should at least have your phone on. It is so late and there is no news at all. What if something happened? Hey, what did you buy?" Hu Xiaolan's attention was quickly attracted by the 2 plastic bags in Tanguo's hands. "Did you go shopping?" Tanguo nodded. "Yeah, I went to the library to read for a while after dinner and forgot to turn on my phone. After that, I went out for a walk. I didn't expect to see a supermarket having an event." "What did you buy?" "Food." "No, sanitary pads, sanitary pants, and daily necessities like antibacterial soap." When Hu Xiaolan heard this, she immediately lost interest. "Very cheap." "It's cheap." Tanguo smiled warmly and held up the 2 bags. "Buy 1 bag and get 1 bag free. It's really a good deal. I've been tight on cash recently. Even though I'm holding an event, it's still so cheap. I won't have to buy these things for the next 6 months. The supermarket also gave me many other brands for me to try." Originally, Hu Xiaolan was not interested when she heard that it was inside a sanitary pad. Then he heard Tanguo say, "Buy a bag, get a bag free." How cheap, useless, and difficult to sell. Why would the other party make such a loss-making deal? It was possible that the shelf life of the sanitary pads was almost up. Only people like Tanguo would buy sanitary pads at a cheaper price. How could such things be bought at a cheaper price? Chapter 1652. "Xiaolan, do you want some?" "I can give you 2 packets, Tanguo said kindly. Hu Xiaolan quickly shook her head. "No, I'll buy it myself. Besides, we don't use the same brand. I've been using this brand for a long time and I always thought it was good. I don't dare to use other brands that I'm not familiar with." "All right." Tanguo also knew that Hu Xiaolan was more particular about using these things. That was why she said that. If it were Gao Lily, she would not have said that. Although Gao Lily did not like cheap things, it would be a waste if she did not take advantage of others. Even if she did not use it, she would accept it if others gave it to her. She would not reject them even if they were moldy. Gao Lily looked glamorous every time she went out. In fact, she was not particular about things in the dormitory at all. It was as if she was a completely different person. Tanguo glanced at Gao Lily's table and bed. On the table, all kinds of cosmetics were placed messily on it. The books were also very messy. There was a thick layer of powder on the makeup brushes and the makeup eggs. It was unknown how long it had been since they were washed. Not to mention Gao Lily's various kinds of shoes. If she did not wear them, she would not take care of them. She would only wipe her shoes clean every time she wore them. At this moment, 20 to 30 pairs of shoes were piled together messily. There was a faint unpleasant smell. Gao Lily probably knew that and even sprayed some perfume on them. The smell was a little sour. System, Rich Tanguo put the 2 bags of sanitary napkins into the cabinet and locked them. Although the original owner was not a person who would refuse, she would still lock the things she cared about in the cabinet. Of course, when someone asked her for them, she would not reject them. She planned to wash up and lie down on the bed. When she came to the sink, she glanced at Gao Lily's wash basin. A pair of blue underwear was soaking in it. There were some faint bloodstains in it. Host, this is unbearable. I need to block out the smell. Gao Lily was too casual. She dressed so glamorously outside. Her life was too dirty. He had seen all kinds of beauties. Even someone like Gao Lily couldn't stand it. It's okay. When the time comes, I'll isolate that part of mine. I'll replace the one in the wash basin. Every time I use it, I'll put it there. Gao Lily was still the kind of person who liked to casually use other people's wash basins. Tanggua had already seen that Gao Lily's various socks were soaking in her bucket. "Host, your bucket is occupied." The system said weakly that she was used to it. The original owner was used to it. Then I don't want it. It wasn't that Tanggua was giving in to Gao Lily. It was just that she wasn't willing to help Gao Lily with her hygiene. As for the bucket, Gao Lily would destroy it after she took away the stuff inside. He didn't throw it away. He just poked a hole in it. She couldn't be the one to blame Gao Lily. The first person who couldn't stand Gao Lily couldn't be her. She looked around the dormitory and felt that it would be more appropriate for Hu Xiaolan and Gao Lily to fight. System, naughty. She didn't want to do anything. She just didn't want the girl to have an excuse to take advantage of her. The girl couldn't take advantage of her, and she couldn't take advantage of Leng Ruofei either. How could two girls not have conflicts after living together for a long time? Chapter 1653. Gao Lily's living habits were completely different from Hu Xiaolan's. It was just that Gao Lily couldn't influence Hu Xiaolan normally, and Hu Xiaolan wasn't the kind of person who would kindly remind others of their hygiene habits. Under normal circumstances, Hu Xiaolan wouldn't help others point out anything wrong. Instead, she would silently choose to watch and let the other party get worse and worse. Only when it came to Hu Xiaolan would she jump up and make a scene. For example, Gao Lily used Tanggua's bucket and basin. The original owner had said a few words before, telling Gao Lily not to use her bucket to soak those things and not to wash them for 2 or 3 days. Gao Lily would smile and say that she forgot and that she would wash them clean after using them. Hu Xiaolan also chimed in, saying that since Gao Lily had already washed them clean, they shouldn't be so calculative since they were all in the same dormitory. If it were her, she would probably have stood up and made a scene with Gao Lily. Tanggua quickly washed up and lay on the bed. She put down the bed curtains to isolate the strange smell outside. This Lily, seriously. Her underwear has been soaked for a whole day. Why isn't she washing them? She's too careless. Hearing Hu Xiaolan's complaints outside, Tanggua's lips curled up. She couldn't take it anymore. What she couldn't take was yet to come. Gao Lily and Hu Xiaolan's relationship was very close. Hu Xiaolan muttered a lot. Finally, she walked in and said to Tanggua, "Tanggua, your bucket is used by Lily again. She's soaking her shoes and socks in it. I remember that it's been 2 days and she hasn't washed them yet. When Lily comes back, you should at least talk to her. After soaking for so long, who knows how many germs have formed. Without disinfectant, can they still be worn after washing them?" Tanggua stuck her head out and said, "Maybe she's busy. I'll talk to her later." Hu Xiaolan had achieved her goal. You just have to talk to her. Her living habits are too bad. She often uses your bucket and basin. You have a good temper too. We're all in the same dormitory. It's no big deal if she uses them, Tanggua said. Hu Xiaolan cursed in her heart. She had achieved her goal and lay down on the bed. She wouldn't do something like offending people. Only an idiot like him would do such a thankless task. Tanggua also put down the bed curtain again. Talk to Gao Lily. Forget it. She couldn't be bothered to say anything. She wasn't interested in helping others educate their daughter on her hygiene habits. Hu Xiaolan wanted to use her. There was no way. As for why he agreed, in this world, there were many people who made a promise, but when they turned around, they wouldn't even say a fart. They were all adults, and some things could be overheard by listening to it. It went in one ear and out the other. As for whether or not she would say it tomorrow, she had already forgotten about it after a good night's sleep. System, yeah, the world of adults is really complicated. There were many words that should be listened to, but not taken seriously. If you took it seriously, you would lose. I've been suffering from insomnia recently, Tanghua said. Hu Xiaolan was surprised. Was it because Gao Lily was talking to her boyfriend on the phone every night for 2 or 3 days in the wee hours of the morning? Did it bother you? No, I went to see the doctor today. System, is that so? Did she go to see Dr. Bai Li? What did he say? Hu Xiaolan wasn't concerned about Tanghua. She was just curious. Tanghua said faintly, the doctor said that I'm suffering from a nervous breakdown. I said that I can't fall asleep and have to toss and turn every day. I can only fall asleep at 3 or 4 in the morning. I see. Is it because Gao Lily disturbed you? Chapter 1654. Hu Xiaolan usually fell asleep at 11 o'clock. Naturally, she didn't know that Tanghua was suffering from insomnia. No, I'm just a little confused about the future. I'm suffering from anxiety. Tanghua sounded a little pitiful. It's already the 2nd semester of university. I feel like I haven't learned anything and I don't know what to do in the future. So, from today onwards, I plan to go to the library and read more books in my free time. There's nothing wrong with that. Hu Xiaolan didn't think so. In university, the most important thing was to participate in more extracurricular activities and build good relationships with classmates. This wasn't high school. Studying was not the only thing that was useful. There's nothing wrong with reading more books, Hu Xiaolan replied. Tanghua nodded. I'm going to take my medicine and get ready to sleep. The doctor said that if I don't get a good night's sleep, it will be very bad for my body. Tanghua took out a bottle of mineral water and a bottle of medicine. She swallowed 2 pills in front of Hu Xiaolan. System, host, who swallowed 2 throat lozenges, are you okay? Then, Hu Xiaolan watched as Tanghua lay on the bed. After a while, she heard the sound of shallow breathing. She shook her head, sneered, and continued to play with her phone. At around 10:50, she put down her phone and got ready to sleep. She cared a lot about that face of hers. She basically didn't sleep past 11 o'clock. She slept very well. She could fall asleep in 2 minutes. At around 11:50, someone pounded on the door of the dormitory. It didn't wake Tanghua up, but it woke Hu Xiaolan up. Open the door for me. It's Gao Lily. As usual, Hu Xiaolan didn't open her eyes. She shouted at Tanghua's bed, Tanghua, Lily is back. Open the door for her. Gao Lily heard the commotion and stopped pounding on the door. However, Tanghua didn't move. She had taken sleeping pills and was sleeping very soundly. She couldn't be woken up. Hu Xiaolan called out a few times. Unbeknownst to her, Tanghua lifted the bed curtains a little. Hu Xiaolan opened her eyes and saw Tanghua sleeping soundly. She suddenly remembered that Tanghua had taken a sleeping pill. When she heard Gao Lily shouting for the door to be opened, her expression turned ferocious. She clearly knew that she was already asleep at this time. Couldn't Gao Lily come back earlier? Even if I come back later, can I bring the key with me? Hu Xiaolan was woken up by the noise. She slowly got out of bed and opened the door. Lily, why didn't you bring your key again? Gao Lily didn't care who opened the door for her, as long as someone opened the door. Didn't I forget? Xiaolan, I brought you some skewers. Hu Xiaolan looked at the food in the box, and her anger subsided a little. You can eat. I've brushed my teeth. It's so late, and I'll get fat if I eat. I brought it especially for you. Hu Xiaolan didn't want to reject Gao Lily's kindness, so she said, put it on the table. I'll heat it up tomorrow morning. Actually, she didn't know how to eat at all. She just wanted to get rid of the troublesome Gao Lily. Okay, I'll put it on the table for you. Hu Xiaolan lay back down. While she was in a daze, she heard Gao Lily's laughter. She opened her eyes and heard Gao Lily talking to her boyfriend on a video call. She suppressed her anger and said, Lily, be quiet. You're disturbing Tangua's sleep. Tangua seems to be sleeping very well. Gao Lily stretched her head and glanced at Tangua. I didn't disturb her. She's sleeping very soundly today. Hu Xiaolan, you're fucking disturbing me. It's so late, don't you have any self-awareness? System, sigh, scheming girl. It's only been a day and these two are about to fight. Chapter 1655. That night, Tangua slept very soundly. Even if her hearing wasn't blocked, she could still sleep well, completely unaffected by the sound of Gao Lily's laughter and her boyfriend's video call. Hu Xiaolan couldn't. If she hadn't been woken up by Gao Lily's knocking on the door, she wouldn't have been affected much by Gao Lily's phone call in the middle of the night. It was also because today wasn't so smooth for her. She didn't know where the anger in her heart came from, but Gao Lily was so noisy. If it were any other day, the one who would stand up for her would definitely not be her, but Leng Ruofei. Today, Leng Ruofei went home and wasn't in the dormitory, so no one could control Gao Lily. Usually, with Leng Ruofei around, Gao Lily would be frightened if the other party said, "You're disturbing me." Even if she didn't hang up, she would unknowingly become very quiet. Lily, can you keep your voice down? Hu Xiaolan looked at the time. It was already 3:00. She didn't know what Gao Lily and her boyfriend were talking about. Just as she was about to fall asleep, Gao Lily's sudden laughter woke her up. Because of their relationship, she couldn't say anything harsh. Moreover, she was the kind of person who didn't like to fall out with others directly. No matter how uncomfortable she felt, she had to put on a good show. Although she couldn't compare to the social animals who had been in society for many years, she was still considered to know how to behave on the surface among students. Xiaolan, did I disturb you? Gao Lily took off her earplugs and asked in confusion, then I'll keep my voice down. Why don't you sleep with earplugs? That way, I won't disturb you. Gao Lily was the kind of person who only thought about herself. Other than in front of her boyfriend's friends, and male classmates, she could be shameless everywhere else. Actually, in front of the opposite sex, she didn't particularly care about her face, but most of the opposite sex liked her looks. Being shameless in front of the opposite sex wasn't called being shameless, but being coquettish, delicate, and cute. Beautiful girls had to give in. So what if such a beautiful girl had a little flaw? Most of the male classmates wouldn't be too calculative. They would argue with her and snatch things from her. Most of the time, they would let her do as she wished. She was spoiled in front of the male classmates, but in front of the female classmates, she was more annoying. It's already so late. There's still class tomorrow morning. Otherwise, you won't be able to wake up. Of course, Hu Xiaolan would not directly say, "You're too noisy, so noisy that I can't sleep." She was such a person. No matter what he said, he would always find an excuse that he was doing it for her own good. However, this obviously wouldn't work with Gao Lily's words. Those who can get up can still go to class the next day even though they used to go online all night. You can't get when you're sleeping. If you really can't get up, then I'll have to trouble you, Xiaolan. When the roll call comes, help me say yes. Xiaolan, you're really the best. Right. The system, the Lu, and TST recording teasits. In the end, Hu Xiaolan fell asleep. She covered her ears with earplugs and buried her head under the blanket. She tossed and turned. It was only around 5:00 that she really couldn't fall asleep. Because she had class in the morning, she had to get up at 7:30 to have more time. She instinctively looked in the direction of Tanggua and was stunned. Chapter 1656. The bed curtains were drawn and the blankets were folded neatly. Tanggua, why are you up so early? She saw that Tanggua had come out of the bathroom and was walking towards her. You don't have any classes this morning, right? I've been suffering from insomnia lately, my body is weak, so I'm going for a run. After that, I'll go to the library to study, Tanggua said methodically. I'm leaving. Hu Xiaolan only reacted after Tanggua had left the room and closed the door gently behind her. No, is there something wrong? That's right. Usually, Tanggua would wake up around this time and take 10 minutes to freshen up. Tanggua probably only applied skincare cream and did not put on any makeup. Her clothes were also simpler and did not take much time. Moreover, her living habits were quite good. Every morning, without fail, he would go out to buy breakfast. Usually, Tanggua would leave the dormitory at 7:40 a.m., which was the time when she washed her face. Then, she would take the opportunity to call out to Tanggua and ask her to bring breakfast back. By the time she was done washing up and dressing up, Tanggua would have already brought breakfast back. She could take the breakfast and eat it while going to the classroom. This would save a lot of time. Hu Xiaolan frowned. Since Tanggua said that she was going for a run, she definitely could not let her bring breakfast back especially for her. Because Gao Lily had made so much noise last night that she could not sleep, her mind was not clear. Tanggua's lifestyle had also changed. She felt even more uncomfortable that she could not eat free breakfast. After washing up, she had to go to the cafeteria to buy breakfast again. Just thinking about it made her very unhappy. Hence, when she was washing up, she made a lot of noise. Gao Lily was woken up by the noise. Lower your voice. Do you want me to sleep? Hu Xiaolan, Mommy, please. Gao Lily's eyes were closed. She had a temper when she woke up and was fiercer than anyone who disturbed her sleep. Hu Xiaolan's movements were slightly quieter, but Gao Lily still felt that she was being disturbed. She did not care who it was and shouted, "Can you lower your voice? It's so early in the morning. Do you want me to sleep?" Hu Xiaolan was furious. Fortunately, she had already finished washing up. She glanced at Gao Lily, who was still sleeping. She walked to her bed and patted it. "Lily, get up. It's time for class." Gao Lily's tone softened when she heard Hu Xiaolan's voice. "I'm so sleepy. I only went to bed at about 6:00. I can't get up." "Xiaolan, why don't you say yes for me when the professor takes attendance?" "All right." The corners of Hu Xiaolan's mouth twitched. "However, this can be easily exposed. After all, we're already in our second year of study. The professors are already familiar with us. Lily, you'd better get up. You can sit in the back row and catch up on your sleep." "I really can't get up." Gao Lily covered her head with the quilt. "Whatever, just deal with it if you can. If the professor finds out, I won't be responsible." "I know, I don't blame you. If that old man really wants to pursue the matter, I'll just consider myself unlucky." After hearing Gao Lily's words, Hu Xiaolan prepared to pack up and leave. Hu Xiaolan went to the cafeteria for breakfast. When she was almost done, she saw a sweaty Tang Guo appear. You went to class. The smile on Tang Guo's face was very clean. Indeed, after running for a while, I've sweated a lot. I've decided to wake up earlier to run in the future. Chapter 1657. That's good, Hu Xiaolan said indifferently. Can you get up so early? I have to get up for my health. I don't want to break down from studying in university. Okay, I'm going to class now. Hu Xiaolan felt that there was nothing to say. She couldn't just say that he got up so early to run and missed the time to bring her breakfast, right? She still wanted face. Tang Guo walked into the cafeteria and bought a sumptuous breakfast. She brought it to a corner and ate slowly. Suddenly, her phone rang. She glanced at it and saw that it was a message from Bai Liqing. Bai Liqing, Miss Tang, you helped me a lot yesterday. Tang Guo, I was just telling you how I felt after using it. System, you haven't used it yet. What a hypocritical woman. In order to flirt with men, she lost all her integrity. Bai Liqing, I think that the gifts I gave you yesterday were a little shabby. Miss Tang's words have given me a lot of directions. Tang Guo, the gifts are good. I can save a few months of money. After all, I'm a little short on money. Bai Liqing, is that so? You're so short on money that you can only use expensive imported products? Bai Liqing, Miss Tang, I've decided. In the future, all the necessities you need will be provided by my supermarket. According to what you said yesterday, we plan to collect more user experience. If it's really good, we'll promote this brand. Tang Guo almost choked when she saw this. System, pretty good. You won't have to worry about sanitary products for the rest of your life. Bai Liqing, Miss Tang, are you interested in opening a social media account? I think that Miss Tang knows a lot about products. If you open a social media account, you can attract more attention. System, this guy, is he trying to cultivate his Miss Tang into a sanitary napkin celebrity? Tang Guo, aren't you thinking too highly of me? Bai Liqing, Miss Tang, this should be a good thing for you. Because Miss Tang knows a lot about a brand, I think that Miss Tang is very suitable for this. Actually, what I'm thinking is that we'll be releasing a lot of new products in the future. We need people to try them out. Miss Tang is a very suitable candidate. Not only is she serious, but she also has good taste. If Miss Tang is interested, we can find some time to talk in person. Tang Guo pondered for a moment and continued to send a message. Do I need to show my face? Bai Liqing, not showing my face. Tang Guo, all right then. I don't have classes in the morning. Are you free? Bai Liqing, yes. Originally, he was looking for internet celebrities in this field, but he couldn't find a suitable one. He wanted to make something real, the kind that didn't contain water. Many internet celebrities were paid to do things. Even if the product wasn't suitable, for the sake of money, they would still promote the product. It wasn't good. The social media account that he wanted to create was one that would only promote useful high-end products. Therefore, the products that he brought out had to be tested and written down with their own thoughts. It wasn't hard to find people in this field. Who asked him to meet Tang Guo by chance yesterday? He thought to himself, why don't I choose her? She's really suitable. Host, I think Bai Liqing is single for a reason. He couldn't help but laugh. In the future, when he thought of today, would he cry and coax his future wife to become an internet celebrity, or sanitary napkins or something like that? Tang Guo looked up. Isn't he single to attract my attention? System, get lost. Chapter 1658. After finishing her meal, Tang Gua immediately returned to the dormitory and quietly changed her clothes. Seeing that Gao Lily was sleeping soundly, she carried her bag and gently opened the door. There was still some time before the appointment with Bailey Ching. She first went to the business office to apply for a new card. It was not good to turn off her phone every day. In the future, when she needed it, she could just turn off the other card. Anyway, the original owner's current social circle was all trouble to her. As for her new card, it would be used to store her new social circle. People who only took advantage of others and did not suffer losses could be regarded as acquaintances. There was no need to care too much about them. After applying for the card, it was almost time for the appointment with Bailey Ching. This time, Bailey Ching agreed to meet her at a more formal coffee shop. He was full of sincerity. When he came, he even brought a contract with him. Actually, Bailey Ching also felt that he was a little strange. Such a small matter could have been done by his assistant. But he actually came by himself. He also felt that it was very interesting. He kept feeling that something was not right. It was as if some virus had invaded and maliciously changed the operating system. When he saw Tang Gua, all the messy things in his mind disappeared. The two sat in the coffee shop and talked for a long time. Tang Gua also felt that this job was not bad. It was mainly because the experience after using these products was not like the other part-time jobs that the original owner found. Not only did it take a lot of time, but she also had to stand or be busy the whole time. The returns were also less. It was much easier to be an internet celebrity with sanitary napkins. After all, she was just an ordinary university student. Her standard of living was definitely higher than the original owner's. She needed a source of income. In the end, the two of them had a good chat. Tang Gua even registered a social media account on the spot. Bailey Ching was her first follower. When they left, Tang Gua gave Bailey Ching her new number. Then, the two of them left. Tang Gua turned off the other card and went straight to the library to read. At around 10:00, Gao Lily was awakened by hunger. She subconsciously glanced at the table. As usual, when Tang Gua brought breakfast for Hu Xiaolan, she would also bring one for her. But looking at the messy table with nothing on it, Gao Lily couldn't help but complain, "This Tang Gua, why didn't she bring me breakfast? How could she forget something like this?" She remembered that Tang Gua didn't have class today, so she instinctively took out her phone and called Tang Gua. Of course, his phone was turned off. Gao Lily complained again about why Tang Gua had turned off her phone. Then, he remembered that Hu Xiaolan should be back soon. Let Xiaolan take care of him. She happened to be coming back from the teaching building. Actually, going to the cafeteria from the teaching building required a detour. It was not far, just an extra 5 minutes. If they had a good relationship, this wouldn't be a problem at all. However, Gao Lily was a person who liked to take advantage of others, and Hu Xiaolan was a person who was always at a disadvantage. If there was no problem when the two of them were together, it could only mean that there was a big idiot between them. "Xiaolan, when you come back, bring me breakfast. Please, I'm starving." Hu Xiaolan gritted her teeth and agreed. "Okay, what do you want?" Gao Lily nagged a lot. When she hung up, she said, "Xiaolan is still the best." Chapter 1659. Tang Gua's phone is switched off again. I really don't know what she's doing. I can't find her at all. She probably went to the library. Her phone is always switched off when she goes to the library. Hu Xiaolan said subconsciously. She didn't know that Tang Gua had deliberately hypnotized her on the first day. It was a common hypnosis technique. Every time someone asked why Tang Gua's phone was switched off, she would subconsciously say that she went to the library. Not long after, Hu Xiaolan returned to the dormitory with breakfast. She sent it to Gao Lily's bed. "Breakfast is here. Thank you. It's 4 yuan. Cash or WeChat?" Hu Xiaolan was already very generous to bring breakfast for Gao Lily. It was impossible for her to pay for it or not to ask for money. Gao Lily was obviously stunned. Perhaps it was because Hu Xiaolan wasn't Tanghua, but she also understood that Hu Xiaolan was a shrewd person. She took out her phone. "I'll transfer the money to your WeChat." If it was Tanghua, she would probably say, "I'm starving. I'll pay you later." Then, she would forget about it after eating. The original owner of this body was an honest person. She was too shy to ask for a few yuan. She was also a pleasing person. She was afraid that asking for money directly would hurt her roommate's feelings. Naturally, she didn't do anything. Actually, after transferring the money to Hu Xiaolan, Gao Lily felt a little strange. It was just 4 yuan, and she couldn't wait to get it back. She was too stingy. Of course, she wouldn't say this out loud. "Lily, I have bad news for you. The professor called me today and I was exposed." Gao Lily was biting a bun and almost spat it out. "Exposed?" "Yes. I woke up late and ate breakfast. The seats behind were all taken, so I could only sit in the front row. Your name was in front of mine, so after I answered for you, the professor called out my name. I was going to say that I was Gao Lily, but I didn't expect the old man to look at me with a smile. He even patted my head and said, 'I remember that your name isn't Gao Lily. You're Hu Xiaolan, right? You almost failed last semester.'" Gao Lily was originally a little angry, but when she saw Hu Xiaolan on the verge of tears and heard the professor's words, she laughed out loud. "Alright, I won't blame you. At most, I won't skip his classes this semester." This professor was a rather open-minded old man. He gave every student 3 chances to skip classes in a semester. No matter how good your exam results were, if you were caught by him for more than 3 times, you would fail the subject. Before this, Gao Lily had already skipped 2 classes and was caught. Hu Xiaolan, if I had known, would have gone down earlier. I had no choice but to buy breakfast today. Did you go down to eat breakfast by yourself? Didn't you ask Tanghua to bring it for you? Hu Xiaolan shook her head. She went out for a run early in the morning. She said she was weak and needed to exercise. If I waited for her to bring me breakfast, I would have been late. Both of them didn't say anything else. And did Hu Xiaolan really sit in the front row because she arrived too late? Only she knew the answer to that. Tanghua studied until noon. Then, she went to the cafeteria for lunch. She had no intention of going back to the dormitory. Gao Lily had already woken up. After all, she was going to the cafeteria with her boyfriend for lunch, so she had to dress up nicely. Seeing this, Hu Xiaolan hurriedly shouted, "Lily, bring your keys." Tanghua might not come back in the afternoon and continue to study in the library. Chapter 1660. She really didn't want to open the door for Gao Lily. Wasn't she supposed to take her afternoon nap? Gao Lily reluctantly took the key and left the dormitory. After leaving, she muttered to herself, "Xiaolan is so troublesome. Isn't Xiaolan in the dormitory at noon? What's wrong with opening the door for her?" "Host, Gao Lily brought her keys today." "Oh, then let's go back to the dormitory. I want to take a nap too." Seeing Tanghua come back, Hu Xiaolan was a little surprised. "Aren't you going to the library?" "I have class in the afternoon. I'm very sleepy, so I came back to rest." Hu Xiaolan felt that she was at a disadvantage today and felt uncomfortable. She remembered that Gao Lily's shoes and socks were soaked in Tangua's bucket and said, "Tangua, did you tell Lily to wash her shoes and socks early? They've been soaking in the bucket for so long that they're smelly." "I forgot." Tangua thought for a moment. "When I woke up, she fell asleep. I didn't have time to tell her." "Then you should at least tell Gao Lily when she sees her later." "Okay, I'll tell her when I see her. Actually, it's okay to let her use it. We're all roommates, right? I don't care so much. It's just that things that are soaked in the bucket for too long will breed a lot of bacteria and can't be washed clean. It's probably harmful to the body if she wears it. Hu Xiaolan, you should be on good terms with Gao Lily. If you see her, you should tell her. This is for her own good. I've been having a nervous breakdown recently and my memory is bad. You're so close to Gao Lily and care about her so much. You definitely don't want her to get sick. You must remind her when she remembers. System, what the fuck is for Gao Lily's own good? The host is really applying what she learned. Hu Xiaolan's face stiffened. She looked at Tangua's small face and her eyes that were filled with sincerity. She really was worried about Gao Lily's health. For someone like Gao Lily, would the other party listen to her? Then, Tangua continued to put on her earplugs and lay down to take a nap. Gao Lily opened the door and saw Tangua sleeping. She was surprised. "She's back." "Yeah, she'll be here soon after you leave." Hu Xiaolan couldn't fall asleep no matter how hard she tried. She clearly didn't sleep well yesterday. 5 minutes later, Tangua woke up. Hu Xiaolan hoped that Tangua would tell Gao Lily to wash the things in the bucket. Unexpectedly, Tangua seemed to have completely forgotten. Hu Xiaolan's expression changed several times before Tangua finally asked, "Xiaolan, what's wrong?" Hu Xiaolan was speechless. Seeing that Tangua had left, Hu Xiaolan finally couldn't hold it in any longer. The things that Gao Lily was soaking in were really disgusting. Every time she went out, it would stink her. She missed Leng Ruofei a little. Leng Ruofei wouldn't spoil Gao Lily. Unfortunately, Leng Ruofei only stayed in the dormitory 2 or 3 times a week, at most 3 times. Seeing that Tangua was about to go out, Hu Xiaolan hurriedly said, "Lily, you should wash all the things outside. Look at how long they've been soaking in the water. The smell is everywhere." He had been occupying Tangua's bucket, and she might want to use it again. "Now, you've even dirtied her bucket." Tangua turned back and said, "Yeah, Lily, it's not good to soak things for too long." Gao Lily's face darkened. She was about to say that she would wash Tangua when she heard Tangua continue, "Actually, I don't really use the bucket. You can use it if you want. We're all roommates, so it's okay if you use it. But if those things soak for too long, it's easy for bacteria to grow. It's not good for your health." Gao Lily looked at Tangua with a much gentler gaze. "I'll wash it in a while." But the way she looked at Hu Xiaolan wasn't very good. The smell was everywhere. Wasn't that disdain for her? Tangua didn't even say that she wouldn't give her the bucket. She wanted her to wash it because she was worried about her health. Hu Xiaolan was speechless. Things were really different from what she had imagined. "Then I'll go to class first. Lily, remember to wash it early. It's best if you add some disinfectant. It's really not good for your health if you wear it if it grows too much bacteria." Who didn't like to hear words of concern? Gao Lily was the same. If Hu Xiaolan said that the things she soaked in smelled everywhere, that meant that she disliked her. If Tangua only said that she was worried that she would get sick after wearing it, that meant that she cared about her. She didn't think that someone as stupid as Tangua would lie. So, she must be concerned about her. Tangua closed the door and left with a smile on her face. When dealing with such a clingy person who had been her roommate for 3 to 4 years, it was easy to get into trouble if she directly rebuked her. The best way was to be a black lotus. When dealing with a clingy person, there was no need to be particular about tactics. Chapter 1661. Ever since Tangua came to this world, she would always arrive at the classroom half a minute before the bell rang. In university classes, most students were unwilling to sit in the first 2 rows. If she arrived late, the middle and back seats would be taken by other students. In this case, she could only choose the first 2 rows of seats. To avoid any trouble, she chose to sit in the first row. She was a good student. If she sat in the first row, it would be easier for her to attract the professor's attention. Actually, in university, the first people to build a good relationship with were the teachers of each subject. Other than the counselors, most of them were subject teachers. They would leave after class, so they taught more classes. It was your ability to attract the other party's attention in a short period of time. It was not that there were no students who chose to sit in the first row, but in comparison, there were only a few. At this moment, there was another girl sitting in the same row as Tangua. She only took a glance at Tangua and then buried her head to flip through her book. Today, Ichichi came to class. She arrived earlier than Tangua. Sitting around her were all the boys in the class. Even though Tangua had helped her a lot, she still did not think of saving a seat for Tangua. Seeing that Tangua could only sit in the first row, she did not feel anything at all. It should be said that she still had some resentment towards Tangua because of what happened last time. She could not directly question Tangua about turning off her phone and not answering her calls. If she brought it up, she would probably use a joking tone and ask what was going on. During class, the professor took a few more glances at the girl who Tangua had chosen to sit in the first row this time. It was not that they could not remember the students in the class, but there were too many students. The only one who could make them remember was the one who stood out and was not bad. He vaguely remembered that this girl seemed to like to choose a seat in the corner, even though there were many people sitting around her every time. However, he still felt that she did not seem to fit in with them. In other words, her presence was weak. The other students did not have a good relationship with her. It was easy for them to ignore her no matter what they did. At least he had 2 classes in a row. During the break, the girls around her were all holding hands as they went to the washroom, while she silently followed behind them. Now that she had caught his attention, he glanced at Tangua and pointed at her, gesturing for her to stand up and answer the question. He had thought that she was a shy, introverted girl who was too shy to show off. Unexpectedly, there was a hint of a smile in her eyes. She answered his question clearly without any stage fright. The professor's eyes lit up. After that, Tangua was slapped no less than 5 times throughout the entire class. Every time, she was able to answer perfectly, which made the professor very satisfied. Could this be a treasure? Tangua's behavior attracted the attention of the girl sitting in the same row as her, Han Yunya. Han Yunya was a top student. In the last semester, she ranked first in every subject in the class. Even in some hands-on experiments, she was still the first. She was such an outstanding and good-looking girl. Even if she did not deliberately curry favor with anyone, there were many people who wanted to get close to her, regardless of whether they were men or women. In particular, she was good at dressing up and came from a good family. After the professor left, Han Yunya had already moved to Tangua's side and whispered, "This old man has his eyes on you." Chapter 1662. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. Don't even think about skipping his next class. Han Yunya's beautiful face had a smile. You'll lose a lot of opportunities when you attend his class in the future. Tangua packed up her books and asked, "What opportunities?" "You'll be absent-minded in class, playing with your mobile phone, watching movies, and even skipping class. You've been targeted by him. Throughout the whole university, as long as it's his class, he'll make you return to your high school days. In the future, he'll pay special attention to any homework, topics, and final exam papers you do. He'll pay special attention to you. Even if you sit in the back row, you won't escape his sharp eyes. He'll even wave at you and say, 'Tangua, why are you sitting so far away? Come to the front row.'" Han Yunya still couldn't help but smile. She patted Tangua on the shoulder and whispered, "Congratulations, Tangua. You're the second person in this class to be targeted by Old Man Chin." Tangua recalled Professor Chen's style from her memory. What Han Yunya said was indeed the truth. Why did Han Yunya sit in the first row every time? In fact, sitting in the middle was the best perspective. In the first semester of university, Han Yunya was the person Professor Chin paid special attention to. Later, she sat in other seats. When Professor Chin took time to answer questions, he waved at her and asked her to come to the first row. He also said that her voice was too soft. He could only hear her clearly if she sat in the first row and answered the questions. Who said that top students didn't skip class? Han Yunya had also skipped class, but Professor Chin had a deep impression of her. Her contact information was on the list. One day, she skipped class, and Professor Chin called her in front of the whole class. "I seem to be free," Han Yunya said with relief. Tangua glanced at her. "Not necessarily. There are only two of us. He has so much time in one class. He can ask us to answer a few questions casually. Forget it. Anyway, it's good to have someone to distract us." When they left the classroom, Han Yunya was still holding her books and took the initiative to walk side by side with Tangua. "I didn't realize before that you're quite impressive. Last semester, the original owner's exam results were above average. It was said that in university, one only needed to score 60 points and not fail. In fact, many people didn't know that no matter what school it was, since scores and grades were set, those who did well would definitely be better than those who did poorly. 60 points. That could only be called passing time. Previously, I suddenly understood. I spent more than a semester in a daze, as if I didn't learn anything. Since I can't find the best direction for the time being, I might as well learn what I have." Han Yunya nodded in agreement. "That's a good idea." After that, the two of them entered another classroom together. They chose to sit in the first row at the same time and sat next to each other. Since there was no class, the two of them exchanged contact information. Tangua looked at the new card. There were two contacts lying on it. The corners of her lips curled up. These were her new friends. She remembered reading a passage somewhere. The general idea was that the people who respected you were not because you were outstanding, but because the people who respected you were outstanding themselves. When you were outstanding, you would naturally meet people of the same level. And those who were not outstanding enough would only look up to you, chase after you, and flatter you. Those who were inferior would not dare to sit on the same level as you. Chapter 1663. During the two classes in the afternoon, Tangua and Han Yunya, the top student, established a deep friendship. The two of them lived in the same dormitory, but on different floors. After telling each other their dormitory numbers, Han Yunya said that they would go together for the next class. Tangua readily agreed. It was really comfortable to play with a top student who knew how to respect others and had a good temper. "By the way, I'm going to the library to read later. Are you coming?" The dormitory was full of smoke. She didn't want to stay there all the time. Han Yunya quickly nodded. Yes, why don't we put the books back first, have dinner, and then go to the library? Of course, Tanguo had no objection and agreed. Then Han Yunya saw Tanguo running quickly, as if something was chasing her. She also quickly turned back to the dormitory. She was very happy to be able to talk to someone so comfortably today. Tanguo returned to the dormitory. Sure enough, there was no one inside. After putting down the books, she went downstairs. Han Yunya lived on the lower floor and was already waiting downstairs. Naturally, she turned off the other card. The two of them lined up for dinner together, eating and chatting as if they were old friends who had known each other for many years. After dinner, they went to the library together. Everything was reasonable. Hu Xiaolan and Gao Lily, of course, didn't come back together. When she returned to the dormitory, she felt a little unwell. When she opened the glass door of the sink, a stinky smell wafted over. She quickly turned it off. This Gao Lily hadn't showered yet. That Tanguo, too. Was she a fool? Her bucket had been occupied for so many days, but she didn't mind at all. She had never seen such a stupid person. She put down the books. She didn't want to stay in the dormitory, so she went straight to the cafeteria to eat. She was halfway there when she received a call from Gao Lily. Xiaolan, aren't you in the dormitory? I'm eating in the cafeteria. How long will it be? Come back and open the door for me. Hu Xiaolan frowned. You didn't bring your key again. I forgot. Xiaolan, you're the best. Come back and open the door for me after eating. Hearing Gao Lily's slightly coquettish tone, the anger in Hu Xiaolan's heart rose rapidly, and she fiercely threw the spoon onto the plate. Forget my ass. I just ate. Hu Xiaolan's tone was a little unpleasant. Tanguo didn't come back. I saw that her book was in the dormitory. She should have come back and gone out again. She seems to have turned off her phone. Hu Xiaolan heaved a sigh of relief. It's most likely in the library. Xiaolan, I'm going back to the dorm to change my clothes. Can you eat faster? Hu Xiaolan could no longer tolerate Gao Lily's behavior. But she still held back. I eat slowly. Then what should we do? You can get it from the cafeteria, or you can go to the library and ask Tanguo for it. The library is very far from the dormitory. It'll take more than 10 minutes to walk. I'd better go to the cafeteria to get it from you. It'll only take 3 to 5 minutes to walk here. Alright, come and get it. When Gao Lily took the key, Hu Xiaolan couldn't help but remind her, Lily, remember to bring the key next time. If we're not around and you don't have the key, you won't be able to enter the dormitory. Alright, I know. I'll definitely bring it next time. Gao Lily answered perfunctorily and left with the key. When Hu Xiaolan finished eating, she returned to the dormitory. She knocked on the door, but no one opened it. She took out her phone and called Gao Lily. Lily, you're not in the dormitory. Chapter 1664. No, I'm outside with my boyfriend. Xiaolan, what's the matter? I'm a little busy now. Let's talk later, okay? Hu Xiaolan thought to herself. Hu Xiaolan only felt that her chest was about to explode. She suppressed the rising anger and said, Lily, why didn't you return the key to me? How can I enter the dormitory without the key? I'm sorry, Xiaolan. My boyfriend called to rush me after I changed my clothes. I was afraid that they would be anxious, so I went out in a hurry and forgot about it. Hu Xiaolan felt that she had given all her patience to Gao Lily. Where are you? I'll get the key. Gao Lily told her a location, and Hu Xiaolan clenched her fists and went. She swore that she would never give the key to Gao Lily in the future. If she gave it to Gao Lily, she would swallow shit. Just as she walked to the school gate, she received a call from Gao Lily. The other party's voice was full of apology. Xiaolan, go and ask Tang Guo for the key. I seem to have left in a hurry and forgot to bring your key. Hu Xiaolan could no longer hold back her expression. Her cheeks were about to crack. She really wanted to smash the phone and beat Gao Lily up. Got it. Tang Guo was reading in the library. All of this was dictated and relayed to her by the system. Seeing Gao Lily torturing Hu Xiaolan, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. What are you reading? Why are you laughing so happily? Han Yunya asked. Tang Guo shook her head. I'm just in a good mood all of a sudden. She couldn't say that she was laughing out loud while looking at the relationship between Hu Xiaolan and Gao Lily, the two beauties. In the past, when she was in the middle, the two beauties had teamed up to bully her. Naturally, they would get along very well. Do you want to go shopping? Tang Guo asked. Han Yunya closed the book. Let's go. Reading all the time is not good for the eyes. It's better to go out for a walk when appropriate. When Hu Xiaolan walked to the library, Tang Guo and Han Yunya put the books back to their original positions. They went out of the school through the nearest door to the library. I want to buy some clothes. Han Yunya looked at Tang Guo's plain clothes and nodded. You should dress up. I think you have a good foundation. Don't wear these dark, dull, and outdated clothes all day. Young ladies should dress up prettily. What you said makes a lot of sense. Wearing this kind of gray and black all day really affects one's mood. When Hu Xiaolan arrived at the library, she naturally could not find Tang Guo. She was so angry that she stomped her feet. In the end, he decided to trouble the dormitory auntie. Unexpectedly, there was no one at the dormitory. When he called her, he found out that she had taken a day off. She had no choice but to call Leng Ruofei again. Leng Ruofei's cold voice came from the other end. There's a traffic jam. I'll probably reach school by 9. As for Hu Xiaolan, she was so anxious that she was about to cry. At this moment, Tang Guo was trying on clothes in a clothing store. In the end, under Han Yunya's suggestion, she bought 2 sets of clothes with young colors, good styles, and reasonable prices. I'm going to the supermarket to buy something. Seeing that Han Yunya was going to a small supermarket next door, Tang Guo pulled her back. Let's go to the biggest supermarket. The things inside are very good. It's only 5 minutes from here. System, host, are you trying to attract business for your cutie? You haven't even started dating yet, and you're already so anxious to help him make money. Chapter 1665. What's the problem? She's obedient and well-behaved. Of course, I'll spoil her. Okay, no problem. You can spoil her if you want. The two of them came to the supermarket. Tang Guo accompanied Han Yunya to pick and choose. Han Yunya was also buying hygiene products. Tang Guo decisively recommended the previous brands to her. They're so good. System, well, they're good. The host's cute things are all very good. That man is so lucky. His future wife will be so rich. Sister Tang. Han Yunya was still picking things when Tang Guo heard a voice behind her. She turned around and saw Bailey Ching. Hey, Brother Bailey, you're still in the supermarket. Yes, I'm staying here for the time being. Bailey Ching didn't know why he continued to stay here. Maybe the supermarket's feng shui was good, so it was very comfortable to stay here. He also inadvertently came out for a walk and happened to see Tang Guo. You're shopping with your friend. Yes, I think this brand is good, so I recommended it to her. I see. Bailey Ching had a smile on his face. Then I'll give you a discount. That's not very good, is it? There's nothing wrong with it. Bailey Chang's smile didn't disappear. I'm planning to organize an event for this brand. You're just in time. A supermarket staff next to them looked confused. They didn't hear about these imported brands being discounted. Why did their boss say there would be a discount? Could it be that he didn't notice and forgot? You can choose first. The event sign hasn't been posted yet, but I'll still give you a discount. After that, Bailey Ching left. After a while, Tang Guo saw a few supermarket staff coming over to put up the eye-catching yellow discount stickers. It was a limited-time discount, only for 3 hours. System, you're amazing, cute. 3 hours. I'm afraid that only your future wife will notice it. Everyone else will ignore it. Bailey Ching also came. Sister Tang, I didn't lie to you, right? No. Tang Guo's lips curved. She glanced at the 50% discount and couldn't stop smiling. Han Yunya felt that something was wrong. She had seen the discount in the supermarket. However, the limited-time discount in the supermarket was only for 3 hours. Forgive her for being ignorant, but she had never heard of it, unless it was an online supermarket. I just checked. This brand has a good reputation abroad, although it's very niche, Han Yunya whispered to Tang Guo. Aren't you going to buy it? 50% off. That's really a good deal. I still have a lot. Han Yunya didn't try to persuade him. She picked a few bags and went to pay the bill. Before leaving, Tang Guo said goodbye to Bailey Ching. After she and Han Yunya left, he instructed the staff member who was standing at the side with a confused look on his face. The staff was still immersed in their boss's limited-time discount. After working in the supermarket for so many years, they had never seen a limited-time discount for 3 hours. You stay here and watch. When the 3 hours are up, remember to tear off the discount label on it. Bailey Ching replied expressionlessly. If he didn't pay attention and it was sold out, then he would lose a lot. A 50% discount would be a huge loss. Hu Xiaolan. When she arrived at the door of the dormitory, Tang Guo saw Hu Xiaolan squatting there, looking pitiful. Hu Xiaolan looked up. Where have you been? System, his tone is as if his host is a scumbag. Chapter 1666. Oh, she went shopping. Tang Guo continued to ask, didn't you bring your keys? At the same time, she opened the dormitory door. Come in quickly. The floor is cold and it's not good for your health. Remember to bring your keys the next time you go out. I originally brought my keys, but Lily didn't bring them. She took my keys back and forgot them in the dormitory. Hu Xiaolan complained. Although she couldn't find Tang Guo, she was still very angry. However, Gao Lily's actions had already attracted most of her anger. The weather today was exceptionally cold. During the day, it was still considered good. With the sun shining, it was very warm. Which girl didn't like to be beautiful? Hu Xiaolan chose to wear thinner clothes in the afternoon. In the end, she stood in the dormitory for a long time, feeling the cold wind, so cold that her face turned pale. When she walked into the dormitory, she felt that her feet were cold. Tang Guo entered the dormitory and placed the shopping items in the wardrobe. She turned around and poured Hu Xiaolan a cup of water. Drink some water. Do you have cold medicine? Look at your face, it's already pale from the cold wind. Hu Xiaolan held the warm cup of water and her body slowly warmed up. The anger she had towards Tang Guo had also dissipated. Although this Tanguo was a little silly, at least she wouldn't cheat her. Unlike Gao Lily, who seemed to be on good terms with her, but had never cared about her feelings. No. I see. I don't have it either. It's already so late. The pharmacies are probably closed. System, she doesn't have it either. Pfft, Hu Xiaolan was also a little scared. She had been exposed to the cold wind today and was wearing thin clothes. She would catch a cold. Oh right, turn on your phone. I remember that there's online delivery of medicine on the shopping app. It's not time for the school to close yet. See if it's okay. Hu Xiaolan quickly turned on her phone and saw that there was indeed a nighttime delivery service on the shopping app. She hurriedly bought the cold medicine and soaked her feet in hot water. Then, she crawled under the covers. Tanguo was also very nimble. She took a shower and said to Hu Xiaolan, "Is there anything else? If not, I'm going to sleep. The doctor told me not to sleep after 10 o'clock. System, did Dr. Tang say that? That's all. Go to sleep." Tanguo had only poured a cup of hot water for Hu Xiaolan and reminded her to buy medicine online. It was basically just a matter of talking. This situation left a deeper impression on Hu Xiaolan than Tanguo, who always prepared everything for her. In fact, she even felt that this good old man wasn't too bad. This kind of reaction made the system feel very strange. Host, why is it that a good man with his mouth is more popular than a good man with his actions? Who doesn't like sweet words? Humans are emotional creatures. Sometimes, a few nice words are more effective than anything else. It seems to be like this. For example, if you praise your family's big cutie and say, "My dear, the food you cook is delicious and I want to eat it all the time." In that case, he would probably be willing to cook for the rest of his life. He would be more than happy to cook for him. The system was immensely pleased with itself as it proposed a comparison. Another example would be, say, "Your big cutie, dear, you look so handsome after washing dishes. I want to keep looking at you." Host, your big cutie will probably be proud of washing dishes for the rest of his life. Tanguo, what kind of analogy is that? However, it seemed to make some sense. Tanguo took the so-called sleeping medicine and fell asleep. No matter what happened outside, as long as there was no danger, she was determined not to wake up. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.